It's the counterculture counterattack. Welcome to the RazörForce Offensive. I am your intrepid host, Razorfist, joined as always by the Titanic, Taryn Gell. How the hell are you, sir?
Greetings, everyone. This has certainly been a week where absolutely nothing happened.
Certainly there'll be Jack with a side of shit to talk about. It's the RazörForce Offensive. When it's time for the snark along with the story, it's time to hit up the offensive. Mount up, motherfuckers, because starting off, it is time for the IQ test. Half the pundits online appear bound and determined to flunk. Let's have a detailed breakdown of the Epstein files, guys. I'm sorry, the redacteds. Okay, so when you first started hearing this, what is this, the third or fourth drop? I think it's the third big one.
Third.
Yeah, well, and it's this one.
Does the first one count where they walked out with the papers from the White House and they were showing the camera?
No, that
what was that?
No, that was like the pre-jism before the freaking drop. Those were not, that wasn't even a drop. we had a proper drop that everybody made fun of because it was super redacted. Then we had the second drop that was redacted, but people immediately were able to remove the black bars with the
with copy and paste, yeah.
Adobe, which I find absolutely hilarious. And now I think it's this one. So I think we are on the third. I could be wrong. The chat could set me straight on that if I'm wrong. But yeah, we were not one of the people fortunate enough to get one of those binders. Pretty much the mark of a grifter at this point. But yeah, when you first heard of this, what was the first thing that hit you? I mean, we're going to hit all the greatest hits here and really break them down. How about the big Epstein's a gooner on 4chan?
Oh my, yeah. Doesn't really surprise me. The furry thing is what surprised me.
And the best part is that's not one of the anonymous tips that wasn't verified. Or no, that's from emails. You know, we know that for a fact. He was literally a fervent gooner on 4chan. How is this real? Where are we? What corner of reality is this?
Banned on Xbox Live for being toxic.
Bro, I was going to say he got banned on Xbox Live back when that was actually hard to do. Can you believe that? Nowadays, you can get banned for you using the wrong pinko pronoun, but back then, like every Call of Duty lobby back then was like a late 90s Chris Rock routine, you know what I mean? It was just nothing but N-bombs, but dude, back then, it was actually hard to get banned. What was another one that you heard of in this latest drop? We'll read through a few of them. Do you have any actually lay by?
Yeah. Let me actually.
Why don't you bring up one of them?
Yes. 1 second.
There was a lot of delicious racism, including delicious racism against non-Jews, against black people.
Oh my god!
At one point,
those were the shocking ones.
Dude, did you read the one where he said, "I wouldn't even bother to," and I quote, "I wouldn't even bother to rape a black chick."
I must have missed that one.
No kidding, he's on 4chan. Jesus. I think I read that on 4chan, actually. Holy shit. Do you have it?
I gotta bring these up. Why don't you read?
Oh, he also held, folks, this will make the Juicebergs happy. He held Jew-only parties. I think they just call those Hollywood executive parties, folks.
Yeah, that's like the least
surprising shit ever. But yes, he held parties just for Jewish people.
Okay, let me see if I can get one of these up now. Sorry, I had to actually go back and look for them.
Yeah.
Share screen. Let's bring up this one.
Okay. Here we go. Jeffrey Epstein and Joshua Bach
discussing. Go on.
I can't get through it. You're going to have to read this.
Discussed genetically engineering black people to make them smarter. He says that black kids have slower cognitive development and never catch up, and that their brains are slower at learning high-level concepts.
Holy shit!
How How much of this are we allowed to
I
read?
know. How much can we get away with reading? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is from Joshua Bach to Jeffrey Epstein. This is in 2016. This is just a few months before the T-bomb dropped. You might be able to make black smarter by changing the time for motor layer development and changing the time for other layers. Like telemercs for the cell are their equivalents for the layers. As you talked about, culling the unused neurons in each layer. Their brains are slower at learning high-level concepts. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
And that's the soft stuff. That's the soft stuff. Jesus. He also had we should mention, there was a back and forth exchange about abortion with the son of BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. Shit, they should have reached out to Elijah Schaffer. Fuck. Yeah, so apparently BlackRock linked to Epstein. That's a nice little I mean, I think it's about as surprising as a sunrise. Jay-Z mentioned multiple times. I know you're shocked the big pimpin' guy was into human trafficking. Anything else, bro?
Let's see. What else could there
While you
be?
do that, actually, I need to shout out the stream. I totally forgot.
Oh, my thing got shut down. Hold on. Gotta share it again.
Shut it down! It's because of all the saucy shit we were talking about. That's what's going on. All right.
Is this it? Yes, I think. Here we go.
What's this? Oh yeah, dude. It was like this guy was paid on a per goyim basis. Why don't you read that one?
Epstein refers to non-Jews as goyim throughout the Epstein files. He's not the only one.
Isn't it wild how we've kind of recaptured goyim? It's like black people recapturing the N-word.
See, Jews won't fail Obama. Israel's rightward turn. The Egyptians go to the polls. I don't think that's it. Here we go. It doesn't matter what the goyim say. What matters is what the Jews something or other. The threats were linked to the Goyim Defense League's anti-Semitic
Goyim, dude, why is there no Goyim Defense League? Guys, RazörForce, I think we are officially the Goyim Defense League. I think we can... we'll have like a superhero hideout and a giant satellite orbiting the Earth.
A book that appeared 2 years ago that discusses halakhic rulings concerning the killing of goyim.
Ah, yes, of course, as you do, naturally.
And then Josh, someone from Epstein. Josh, you asked me to share your life with you. I excitedly accepted. I share my highs, my lows, my dreams, my body. Interesting.
Yeah. Did you get kind of an effete, he liked a little cream in his coffee kind of vibe from some of these emails? I read a few and I was like,
I got a feeling he was literally into everything.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe just a little bit.
Here we go.
Over some of these.
It's simple. You behaved just like the goyim you do not respect. Okay.
Of course. Of course.
Jeffrey Epstein wrote, "This is the way the Jew make money and made a fortune in the past 10 years selling short the shipping futures. Let the goyim..." Right. I remember reading that email separately too. I'd have to go looking for that one. Goyim were born only to serve us, he said in a 2010 sermon. Without that, they have no place in the world.
Here, you want a little bit of galactic serendipity too? The word pizza was mentioned. Guess how many times it was mentioned? Guess what the final count was?
35,000.
9/11. It was 911 times.
Okay. Seems a little deliberate, but
I know. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. I noticed multiple mentions of forced abortions. Actually, the conversation that I mentioned earlier with the son of the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, there was an implication there. You forced me to get an abortion. Like, what? Aren't you a dude? What the fuck? Needless to say, pictures of Prince Andrew dry humping a kid. Did you see that?
Yep. I saw that too. I'm not going to find it and show it.
Epstein said that Bill Gates's dick was deformed.
Can we get confirmation?
And apparently it burns when he pees, which there's a lot of that going around this week, especially on the rightosphere. Elon. Did you read the stuff about Elon?
I read he was mentioned, but like Epstein kept trying to get him to the island.
And Elon Musk made plans to airdrop down onto Diddler Isle, but ultimately he wound up canceling. And as soon as that came out, the Troon kid, of course, anytime Elon's mentioned in any kind of negative way, immediately jumped on the story. Oh, we were in the area at the time, and right, there was something like that. But you can see clear as day in the emails he canceled ahead of time. So, and you guys know I'm no great Elon defender or Elon fan of any kind, although we are streaming on his platform, and I think he makes a fine product. But yeah, so the kid kind of tried to jump in on it and didn't really work out. It's so transparent. It's just so transparent. The Trump stuff, do you want to get into that? All mentions of Trump were pretty much from an anonymous FBI tip line, which is not surprising.
Yeah, apparently.
The thing that bugged me was it's from like between 2020 and 2024, which, what did I say? You know, the Biden administration had these files for how long? The Obama administration even had some of these files. Did they bother? They had written off that as the ravings of a mental patient, a person who had been recommended for a padded cell, and they kept them. Gosh, I wonder why. Maybe because they would be released later and the left could use that as a talking point. But it's not, I don't know. It's that particular facet of it really hasn't stuck. I don't feel like it. You can really tell it's a big deal when leftist accounts like Harry Sisson have to constantly remind you that the Epstein files exist, right? That's always an indication that everybody's really, really organically latching on to the Trump facet of the story. You know what I mean? Let's see. Jay-Z. Let's see here. Oh, did you actually see, speaking of the fallout of the Jay-Z stuff? Like, he left the country, first off. He left the country. Everybody's speculating why he left the country. And a whole shitload of people unfollowed. Like, he lost like 100,000 followers on Instagram in a day. Absolutely nuts. Hold on. Let's see what the RazörForce has to say about some of this stuff. Kurgan, boomers at my work think Don Lemon's free speech has been violated. I work at a BlackRock company. Yikes. So I kept my mouth shut. Any abortions around there? I'm tired, boss. Oh, and Taryn, RE7 is better than RE6. What the fuck, man? What?
Okay.
Speaking of the ravings of a mental patient, well, Godspeed. Don Lemon. Do we want to talk about the Don Lemon stuff? So we kind of touched on it last week a little bit. Again, I've said pretty much from the beginning, he's probably, I don't know what the consequences attendant to the KKK Act or whatever that is actually are, but my suspicion since the very beginning has been that it's going to be a slap on the wrist. What say you?
Yeah, I don't see it going anywhere, honestly.
It's funny that he got arrested. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's even funnier that all the right-wing influencers were like, he's never getting arrested. He'll never be arrested. You know what I mean? All these black pillars poisoning the well, and then he gets arrested, and what do? They just move on to the next spurred fit. That's all they ever do. All right. Oh, yes. From Jeffrey Epstein to Roger Schenck. I love this one. Do you want to read? Why don't you read this out?
Absolutely. This is the way the Jew make money and made a fortune in the past 10 years.
They delve too greedily and too deep. Sorry, wrong Jews.
Selling short the shipping futures. Let the Goyim
futures. How high was he when he wrote some of this shit?
Let the Goyim deal in the real world. From shipping news, the most dramatic growth has been in shipping futures, which allow shipping companies to lay off risks. The most popular futures are forward freight agreements to deliver goods on a particular route at some point in the future. They have grown in the past year to be roughly the size of the physical market, according to Bill Lines of the Baltic Exchange. It seems like he copy-pasted this.
Yeah, it seems like he's copy-pasting a lot of this shit. Did you see the interview with him and Bannon where it's kind of clear he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about economically? Like he keeps repeating the same thing. When you ask people how they make their money, they can't always explain it. It is interesting, though. We pretty much confirmed the main way that he made his money, which you and I had been speculating about, right after he was arrested. And kind of, I don't know, lame, kind of domestic sounding. He just moves rich people's money around. Not illegal, technically, but skeevy. But that was his primary source of income. And that tracks. I don't think you wind up owning a palace on an island, though, just moving rich people's money around. I guess it depends on how rich the person is. But that is the way the Jew makes money. Tolkien fan Dutch van der Linde explaining why Cisco's war crimes were they betrayed their uniform, Arthur.
Oh my god.
All right, Godspeed. Total vindication for Epstein slop ignorers. There was pertinent stuff in here, but I think it's kind of color. There is definitely relevant stuff that we've already mentioned. Somebody, any idea how far back Epstein Island goes? I noticed Michael Jackson was not mentioned at all in this. He was mentioned in the first round of drops, but it was only a picture of them together because they were invited to the same Democrat donor event. That was it. And by the way, people were free with their approval on my channel when that came up. And I was just like, really? A picture of them together at a Democrat donor? No shit. Michael Jackson, he showed up at the White House for Reagan. He did charity work with Trump. He did fundraising for both parties. When his trial was going on, Al Sharpton and Rush Limbaugh spoke up in Michael Jackson's defense. He was kind of a bipartisan pop star. Gosh, you remember when those existed, dude? Jesus, now we got Billie Eilish talking about people living on stolen land while living on acres and acres of stolen land herself, by the way, with her 1,000-dick stare. Any chance of battle for Westnoth on Razorcade? I don't know what that is. Do you?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Really? Is it an RPG? It sounds like it. Agamemnon Fireman on an Yngwie kick. Took me a bit to get into the Idmon era, and now that I am, Eclipse is my fave because it's the best Yngwie album. Madison's best in show. I also am getting imported. Godspeed. Yeah, Godspeed. I heard the first singer for Madison actually died the other day. Not Gioran, but the original singer for Madison. He just passed away. So rip in peace to him. Madison were kind of a local hit in Sweden back in the day, and they almost broke into the States. And then their singer left to go sing with John Norum and Yngwie, and he was almost in the Vinnie Vincent invasion. Sonic Boomers, I hate to say it, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel were telling the truth the whole time. And I'm questioning how bad Bondi is if this pile of trash is the files. There are some interesting bits. Okay, we need to ask this question, and I'll ask this of the RazörForce, because this is really a community-wide question. After this latest drop, and keep in mind, I don't think this is the final drop, but boy, is it a big one. Are we at all persuaded for or against Epstein having killed himself? I always have been of the opinion it was mighty suspicious timing. Even if all he was guilty, by the way, of doing was moving rich assholes' money around and fundraising for Democrats, that's kind of a campaign funding scheme anyways, right? There still would have been incentive to shut him up, even on a really, really down low, benign level. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm persuaded. What about you, Taryn? Why don't you start us off? Are you persuaded more so to believe that he killed himself or less so?
Given how tall he was,
yeah, no shit.
Given like sitting down and strangling yourself, but also the biggest red flag for me is the guards not being there and 1 minute of footage being cut from the tape.
Yeah.
Come on.
No shit. The cameras just happen to be down, and he's in a very high security prison. Like, these were not minor charges, no pun intended. They were not negligible charges, shall we say. Let's reword that. There we go. Okay. Alamandorius joins us and says, assassinated, extracted, or extracted and assassinated. No way he killed himself. The thing that always blew my mind is he was taller than the damn bunk bed. And he's not that tall of a guy. But, you know, I guess prison bunk beds are not that tall. That was the physics of it. I'm completely with you on that one. I don't see how that's possible. Now, I know you can put a damn noose around your neck and, in the immortal words of The Wire, put a noose around your neck and sit your ass down. I know you can maybe do that, but boy, it would take you a long time to die. A long time to die. And nobody's going to check on you in that time, especially when you're a suicide risk. That's the other thing you need to keep in mind with Epstein. Oh, you want to read this one? Epstein to Bannon. Bannon.
Oh, yeah.
Bannon was doing a documentary interview type thing on Epstein. That's another thing. Bannon has been mighty quiet on all this stuff, even though he's in a lot of these files. But why don't you read this?
Epstein to Bannon. Reminder: money, medicine, law, Jews only. To which Bannon responds, "I've only had Jewish doctors and lawyers since leaving the Navy."
That's funny. I've never had a Jewish doctor in my life. Never. Yeah, that's wild. I've never had a single one. Had a couple of Asian ones. I have a Mexican chick. My current doctor's a Mexican. You know what I mean? Like, what about you?
I mean, I grew up in San Antonio, man. They were all Mexican.
They were. It was all Valdez and shit. I've only had Jewish doctors and lawyers since leaving the Navy. At least part of the Epstein story is about Jewish supremacy and exceptionalism, whatever you want to call it. Well, that's Bannon going back and forth with Epstein. But I mean, for sure, they're overrepresented, easy for me to say, in the arts, in Hollywood, and there's a variety of reasons for that. But in academia, the biggest one, of course, is damn nepotism. Let's see here. Sean McDonald, I like how he bought pieces of the Kaba's covering to use as rugs, and the Saudis sold it to him. It's a lot of Saudi dick sucking lately. Oh, Azure Nightmare, happy 60th wave of the offensive. Also, can we call Jeffy a Satanist? I heard little rumblings of that in the... There was who was refusing to show up to the island because it was it Jay-Z's girl? Like, Jay-Z was trying to get a girl to go to the island with him, and she refused to go because she didn't want to participate in the creepy satanic spirit cooking shit.
Yeah, I forget who that was. I think I read that earlier somewhere.
It sucks. There's so many of these files. I don't have every single one of them on hand, but I remember distinctly reading that. When did reality become a Mad TV skit? Says C Striker. Always has been. I need an astronaut suit and a gun. Mage Leader, can they use that genetic engineering on Candace Owens? Maybe posthumously, right? Did you see that clip?
Whoa.
Candace Owens is biologically incapable of saying the word posthumously.
Oh.
All right.
She's incapable of saying a lot. Like,
a
I
lot
was
of
wrong.
things. A lot of things. The stream is starting off strong, I see. Gosh, it's almost like affirmative action is at play in more than just leftist universities. I don't know. All right. Ben Manjarier almost got mad at Trump for his comment of asking nicely to say and saying please for deportation was misinformed, and he was talking about crime, not deportation. Have you noticed lately a preponderance of stories taking Trump out of context, like cutting off the very end of what he says in order to make it seem like he's turning on his base? There's a really good example of this yesterday.
Since 2016.
There was a really good example of this yesterday where it was about immigration or something. And the first part of the statement made it sound like he was softening on immigration. If you watch the complete statement before NBC News cut it off, he says, but we have to be strong and deport all these bastards. You know what I mean? Like they cut off the very end. So this is an op, guys. This is because midterms are coming up. And the only chance the left has is to divide the right. I wish I could say they weren't getting plenty of help. Hey, folks, look who's joined us to break down the redacted files. It's the Tactical Hobo.
Yo.
Hello, sir. Yo, it is the fully automatic Tactical Hobo. Bro, have you been keeping up with any of the latest appropriately named Epstein dump?
Whew, man, a little bit. I've been I just got off work, so maybe I'm not up to the second on it, but yeah, it's a wild time to be alive. That's for damn sure.
It's all true. All of it.
All of it.
Especially the lies.
Especially the lies.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, right.
Human sacrifice.
Human sacrifice.
Oh, the usual. Yeah.
Epstein was a Jew supremacist.
Oh, he kept reaching out to Lady Gaga to try and get her to go to the island.
He was also a time traveler.
Yeah, he tried to get Scarlett Johansson to go to the island. Did you see that?
No.
Yep, tried to get Scarlett Johansson to go there. He was blowing up Rihanna's phone, I guess. Bro, he mentions in the files torturing child victims.
That one that he said, I liked the torture video.
Yeah. There was an implication, a pretty ominous one, that Epstein at some point impregnated one of these trafficked chicks, and Ghislaine had the kid disposed of in some way. Orphanage, I'm hoping not a dumpster. Lots of stuff. Anything that jumped out to you, Hobo?
Oh man, there was one thing I saw, it was George H.W. Bush has been mentioned a few times. Did you guys see that one?
Oh,
I mean, okay, I don't know what the hell to believe out of all this, dude.
That was a bit of an IQ test filter. I'm sorry. When I saw some people that podcasters that people have actually been taking seriously the last several years honestly get taken in by George W. Bush sacrificed a child, chopped their feet off without leaving a scar, using a bastard sword or something.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this? This is the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. I mean, you got to take all, we don't know what the hell is true or not, man. There's so much to sift through, and it's absolutely nuts.
That's why we're trying to break it down for you guys here. We're hitting the highlights. I hope the big thing I want is, as we're going through these, talking about how credible or not credible they are. The good news for Trump, although of course his enemies, both right and left, are spinning it the other way, is that pretty much everything about Trump in there was either Epstein trying to make an overture to Trump and being rebuffed. I think there was literally a quote at one point that said, "That dog won't hunt," basically saying Trump refuses to respond. Or it was from the anonymous tip line, and usually from some kind of mental case. So that's a good news from Trump. I did see his response or whatever. I didn't think he came off good in that. Did you see him reply to reporters asking about it?
I did not see that.
He was like, well, it was nice to be vindicated and whatever, and then he just walked off. It didn't look great. I didn't think optically it looked great.
Yeah, optically, he's got some issues with this, because from the stuff I'm hearing, it sounds like he's innocent of all this, of everything. So he needs to come out and do a good press conference or something, like when he was doing the when he had the South African president, and he was like, he was like straight up owning him, right? Because he's like, oh, well, right here is where you said this and this and this. Like, he needs to do a real good like press conference and address like this crap.
He really does. I mean, it's granted when you've been kind of downplaying it and shit, and who knows, there's still more dumps to come. But it's just compared to other moments where he's responded to people like, dude, I just saw this. Hold on, I had to post this.
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person?
This is compared to moments like this, you know what I mean? Like, he used to handle these moments with a little more based, you know what I mean? I felt like optically that just didn't look great. Jeffrey Epstein was clearly a time traveling android. I've seen that meme before, bro. I've seen that meme before. I wonder, maybe a little ancestry
we should
there.
Explore the biological consequences of time travel. It would be amusing to calculate the rate of evolution of a population or a mutant that can travel in time.
Yep. Oh, did we mention Zoran Mamdani's connection?
Oh, Lord, not
did you see that? Yeah. Zoran Mamdani's madre, his mother, Mira is her name. She was, I don't know, drinking buddies with Jeffrey Epstein. It's a big club, folks, and you're not in it.
Gosh, the turntables.
What's up?
It's how the turntables.
What? Right? There was some foreign stuff. Some of the foreign entanglement stuff was interesting. Did you see any of the stuff with Russia and Putin and all that?
Just a little bit.
Like, I guess, and this doesn't surprise me, he was kind of he comes across in a lot of this as just a bog standard boomer lib. So when everybody's getting caught up in all the Putin hysteria, he's funding efforts to get rid of Putin. He's funding like an overthrow of Putin in Russia. Oh, there we go. So Zoran Mamdani is the biological son of Jeffrey Epstein. You know? It would explain a lot. But he apparently funded an attempted overthrow of Putin. You wonder, maybe that was what was happening when that brief little almost military coup happened. And then the person who had spearheaded it was freaking killed in a helicopter crash. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. The Wagner Group or whatever.
The Wagner Group? Yes. You wonder, maybe some Epstein money wrapped up in that? Who knows if maybe that finally bore fruit later on. Speaking of bearing fruits. Hi there, Zoran. How's it going? Jesus. What's up?
Sorry, you were talking about Trump earlier. I found a little something.
Oh, yes. I did see that. This was much better. Well, go ahead.
So at the crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind?
Well, I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing?
Yes.
World from problems. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there.
It's just what I do, you know.
Did you see the revenge clip? They brought back Kamala HQ, by the way. We're not covering that story necessarily, but Kamala HQ came out of mothballs. And they were melting down over Trump at this event, saying that he had to come back in 2024 for his own ego. Did you see that?
I saw that they tried to change their name or get like they just wanted to call it
they're
headquarters.
just HQ now. Yes, they're just headquarters.
And X wouldn't let them or something.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Wow, I did not know that. Why did we lose Larry Flint and get left with Larry Fink? Right? Oh, it's the $6 million race. Godspeed. Tinfoil headwear stocks skyrocketed this week. You're freaking telling me. Dude, this is only the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. There's even more. All right. Recently watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance with my dad, and it's his favorite Western. I'm curious about your thoughts on the movie. I've heard it's one of the best. I think I've caught little bits and pieces on television. Have either of you watched it back in the day? I never did. I never sat down and watched the whole damn thing.
No, I've heard it's good, but no, there's a lot of those old Westerns I haven't got to yet.
Right. A ped band from Xbox. Who'd have thought? Yeah, now they just put him in charge of Xbox. That's wild. All right. Dill Prickle, given your distaste for the DMV and other government waste, what sort of public transport system would protect the most citizens while minimizing government interference in our personal commutes? Man, what about a private transport system? You know what I mean? Like, what about letting a private company do some kind of civic transport or something? Because what happens is the government greenlights these public transit projects, and then it's just the money tit is open. And so usually some kind of California asshole developer comes in and they all start fighting over the money tit. And the longer the project goes on, the more they get paid. So the slower and the shittier a job they do, the more they get paid. So why would they do better? Right? It's the old, gosh, I keep referencing The Wire so much. You ever see that clip from The Wire where they're talking about how their drugs that they're selling are weak? And so all they did is change the cap on the little vial that they sell it in and call it something else. And he says, holy shit, it's like, we do a shittier job, we make more money. It's fucked up. That's just how it is. It's kind of an analogy for corruption in government in the show or whatever. A very well-written scene. But that's what it is. That's what it is right there. Would you guys have any ideas on that?
I think we definitely need a monorail. I pulled it to Brockway, North Haverbrook, and by gummit, put them on the map.
Yes. But Main Street's still all cracked and broken. Sorry, Mom. The mob has spoken. All right. I love that episode. Let's see here. Razor, did you ever watch the CGP Grey vids back in the day showing how to legally rig the Electoral College and why first past the post is mathematically doomed to produce duopoly of lesser evil? Ranked choice solves many problems with it. We just took a hard look over at Zoran Mamdani, and ranked choice was a big reason he's even there. I'm not a fan of ranked choice. I'm not a fan. I think it helps. We have a problem right now, not with a duopoly, but with spoiler candidates. And, the fraud. There's usually a third-party candidate heavily benefiting from fraud. Right? Like here in Arizona in 2018, when Martha McSally lost to Kirsten Sinema. Oh, wouldn't you know it? The Libertarians performed like 18 times as well as they normally do in a normal election cycle. And then the next election cycle, they went right back down to normal. The fuck? What happens is they fill out all of these ballots for like one candidate, and then they vote for Libertarians down the ticket so Republicans don't benefit. It's part of the fraud, right? There's actually been people who have broken this down mathematically. Ranked choice, I would argue, makes that worse because it makes the third-party candidates even more viable. I would say it incentivizes fraud. All right. Game like Killer 7 and Phantom Doctrine really aged well with the recent happening. I hope people will do something and they won't get away with this. Gosh, has any game aged better than Deus Ex?
Yeah.
Jeez. Between the AI and transhumanism and transsexualism and global conspiracies and AI surveillance states and Illuminati conspiracies and some of the conversations in Deus Ex, like I'm afraid. I've been wanting to replay Deus Ex for a while. I got to be honest. I'm afraid to go back and play it because every time I do, I'm like, what the fuck? This is just real life now. Like this isn't even a game anymore.
Well, if we want to put our real tinfoil hats on here, we could say that Deus Ex was actually predictive programming. It was preparing us all for all this. How about that?
Mage Leader, the most shocking thing about these files is how bad the elites are at spelling. No shit, dude. A lot of people are. Saying moo to tiny hats need to become a thing. Godspeed. USA's new show. Who said it? Epstein or Movie Bob? A lot of those quotes could be taken as Movie Bob quotes. We should make that a game show here on the RazörForce Offensive, I think. What do you think? there was a lot of like Elon stuff. Anything else you guys want to touch on the Epstein files before we move off? What are the Bill Gates speaking of Russia, the Russian escorts, he got an STD from Russian escorts and tried to drug his wife or something. Did you catch this one?
Just like parts of it. I heard that was the reason she said that they got a divorce was because of Epstein or something, though.
That I'm 100% resolved to believe that is why they are divorced. I believe the timing with the Epstein stuff, there was no coincidence there. Probably the wife was a gold digger anyway, and that gave her an out. Oh, he's a shitbag who was named in the Epstein stuff. Okay, sweet. I've got an excuse. Irreconcilable differences. I can sue him for everything he's worth. And dude, she made her nut. She got so rich off of that divorce. Jeez. I think after that divorce, wasn't she literally named like the most wealthy woman in the world? I think so.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. I think she... Oh, shoot! We mentioned 4chan. We didn't mention that Epstein met with Moot. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Did he actually meet with him or talk with him?
For those of you who are not aging millennials like us, Moot was the guy who used to run 4chan until the whole 8chan controversy and all that bullshit went down. He was the perennial leader of 4chan. He met with Jeffrey Epstein. What was it about?
I can't remember.
No, I don't know what the context was. I do know that he was into like Yuri porn. Freaking Epstein was. He was into freaking furry stuff and and animu lesbos. Anything else, guys? Before we move off of this, I'm gonna hit up our super chats to see if the RazörForce has anything they want to bring to our attention about it, and we could look it up.
I'm just
Goyim Defense Force. Are those the bad guys in Jews in Space? Right? Isn't Spaceballs just Jews in space?
Merchandising.
Yeah. You excited for Spaceballs 2, Hobo?
Dude, it was not on my bingo card, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
We'll see. I'm an ethnic Jewish Catholic. I cannot tell you how much I hate this. I really don't even know what to say anymore. I guess I'll just stock up, right? Man, and a Jewish Catholic, you're everybody's asshole, aren't you? Holy shit. Ibibs, thank you guys for all you do. Thank you for joining us. Gosh, there was so much drama this week. Holy shit. We will be talking about the meltdown in the rightosphere. I'll try and be as charitable as humanly possible as we do. Have you followed any of that, dude? I'm talking about Hobo here because I know Taryn has caught some of it.
Just a little bit. Like, yeah, I haven't delved like that deeply into all the drama though, because working like a normie most of the week. But
AJ the Groundhog, Lord only knows the extent of destruction Jeffrey has caused from trans kids to gaming. Yikes. All right, Christian Thurber, thoughts on the anti-ICE stuff and Momdami and Virginia Dems and daycares possibly winning the GOP, winning over the GOP in midterms or helping the GOP to win? That was worded a little weird. Will they actually make an impact? Oh, I see. Possibly winning the GOP the midterms. I read that badly. That was on me. I'm sorry. Will they actually make an impact? This is why I really wish we were not getting distracted by all the anti-ICE stuff. We talked about that. Really, last week's episode was dedicated to this. Hobo, you weren't with us, but we were talking about how people like Tim Walz and Klobuchar and the DNC and Schumer and everybody was arraying around this anti-ICE sentiment. Heck, Katie Nobbs just put out a video yesterday where she's now launched a government website here in Arizona. Here's how you can evade ICE, right? Shit like this. So the Democrats are circling the wagons around the ICE issue, and it's obvious why. Because it helps distract from the welfare fraud, billions and billions of dollars. And it's not just in Minnesota. We said from the very beginning, I said in my first video about this and every subsequent podcast, guys, This is a massive distraction. These protests are a distraction. And the key here is to not move off the subject. Look, if you want to take issue with how ICE handled that shooting or this shooting, we can have a conversation about that. I think in most cases, ICE were justified, but we can debate that. And I think we can even have a respectful debate about that. That doesn't mean we need to move off of this. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Do you guys, what's your thought on this? Do you think this is a prolonged distraction? What's going on there? Because I think there is something to what this super chatter is saying. It could cost Democrats the midterms if we don't move off the subject. Because think about this. This could be an evergreen issue going forward, because once one state has been exposed, what do? You got freaking 48 more. You've got Minnesota, California. Gosh, you got Michigan, you got Arizona, you got Nevada. This is an evergreen source of mud to throw at Democrats if you're just looking for political points. But more importantly, hopefully we can get some of our damn tax money back. But anyway, sorry, I was rude there. What do you guys think about it?
Well, yeah, it's definitely they're trying to distract from the fraud, but also like these people legitimately don't believe in like the existence of borders. Some of them, the actual communists, and the reason they can't like win if they can't get illegals and like fake votes and all this stuff, dude. So it's like they need it. They need endless immigration in order to stay in office, right? So it's like, of course. We know why they want so much immigration and will never just endless. I mean, dude, these people want I'm like, what the hell? You people seriously, if we get rid of the borders, we'd have like 2 billion people living in this country. And some of these people act like they're okay with it. I'm like, what?
Right. Okay. So let's look at one aspect. I love zooming way in on an issue and just looking at one tiny aspect. You remember in 2020 when Crowder went around and went to the vacant lot in Arizona where there were like 200 different voters registered, and they had fake they were all on the same social security number, all the same freaking registration information, right? That whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, the one social security number was attached to all those people and all that vacant lot. Well, what's the single biggest contributor to identity theft? And there's no close number two. Illegal immigration. Illegal immigration. Every illegal immigrant commits identity fraud. Every single one. Because if they want to apply for anything, if they want to have a driver's license, if they want to be able to pay their utility bill, they have to have a social security number, which means they have to steal the social security number of a American citizen, living or dead. They try to do dead people because you're less likely to get caught. But, I used to date a girl who her social security number was being used by like 500 different people out on the Indian reservation, out in Colorado, because her social security number was really easy to like pluck out of thin air, right? Just to guess. And so, dude, she was dealing with that forever. She'd apply for, this thing or that. I remember for a while she needed health care and she was looking to apply for it or whatever. And she kept getting the runaround on because there were all these freaking fraudsters using her social security number. And guys, there are millions of stories like this. So you focus on this, man, this changes the composition of elections going forward. Taryn, did you have thoughts on that?
No, I mean, from what I feel, it's no more distractions. Let's just focus on the one thing and get it done. The whole fraud thing in Minnesota, that's the wooden stake to the heart. And we can do that in every single state.
We can.
And I think it needs to happen.
Yeah. All right. Marussia Dark. If a hot civil war ever breaks out, sorry. We have to pause. I think Tim Pool just finished in his pants. Will you make a video for posterity documenting how Trump, unlike Lincoln, is not a dictator, at least so far? Yeah, he has had multiple chances to cross that Rubicon, and he has elected not to do so. I'll have to think about that one. Somewhere in the ether, an Austrian painter laughs. Yeah, between the tears, all the brown people invoking his name. You imagine if Hitler came back, or if he was still alive somewhere down in Argentina, watching all these brown people pretend to be fans. Oh, here we go. Speaking of which, Emperor Creatine, new from Daily Gondor, Stuart Denethor named a new Durin Files drop. Self-immolation for Mordor refugees. Cover for Lempos Gate by Tharfi Goya Murder. Bum, 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 bum. Dude, the three of us need to do that Lord of the Rings marathon. We really need to do that.
Next time I'm in town, dude, we got to do it.
We'll just put a day aside. We'll have a diet of nothing but pizza and Pepsi all day. I'll eat really good for all the weeks leading up to that.
Yeah, just fast for like a week first.
Then we'll just ruin it. Yeah, they'll just ruin it. Scott Fisher. But my Razör, Tom Massey, forced the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Everyone against must for Israel. He doesn't take AI PAC money. Which actually he has taken some AI PAC money, incidentally. Again, my issue with Thomas Massey is just he's kind of a goof, and he's a grandstanding goof. What do you guys, before we move off Massey, I don't think I've gotten Hobo's opinions on Massey. What's your read on this motherfucker? Because he kind of melted down the day after the files dropped, which sort of tells you all you need to know about how they're being received.
Yeah, Massey, it's like I sort of used to like him, but it seems like as time goes on, like his popularity with me is going down, gradually here and there.
I feel the same way about Rand Paul, man. In 2016, I supported Rand Paul over Trump in the primaries, and then Trump pulled ahead, and I jumped on the Trump train, and it was what it was. But and Rand Paul is not far behind Massey in my book. I agree.
They're like the libertarians are going to libertarian, and the biggest thing I always have disagreed with libertarians on is like the border.
Oh, right? They're both insufferable on immigration. Thomas Massey has the worst scoring Congress among Republicans anyways on immigration. And he has a worse score than some Democrats. Is pure wide open borders. And that's just indefensible in 2026. If you're not taking election fraud seriously, you have no business even calling yourself a Republican at this point, because you can see the damaging effect that it has. Guys, it damages trust in any elections. And once that starts to happen, man, people start to violently act out. People withdraw from the electoral process and take to the streets. And that's not good for anyone. Mage Leader, you know who wasn't mentioned in the files? Hans Davian, surprisingly. Well, considering all the assholes in Battletech, I don't know. Stefan Amaris didn't make it into the files incidentally. Frogs are gay. I love that the Epstein files vindicated Cheney and showed he was just evil for the love of the game. Right? Cheney not mentioned once. What the hell? But George H.W. Bush. What'd you say, Taryn?
He left a baby eaten to the other guy.
Yeah. Johnny Diaz Veto. So what country do y'all think Epstein was an asset of? Israel's my suspicion. I'm not sure. Netanyahu wasn't mentioned. Was Israel mentioned, actually? I haven't seen any breakdowns where they emphasize the Israel connections with Epstein. Does anybody in the chat know? Can you link us to a breakdown? Hold on a second. Let me get to the... Yeah, there we go.
I've heard people mention that Epstein had MI6 connections, though, too.
Yeah. Not so much him, but Ghislaine Maxwell. Robert Maxwell had MI6 connections. So she's the heiress of intelligence agency shit. Former PM, not Netanyahu. So the former PM was mentioned. Who am I thinking of? Ariel Sharon was mentioned in the files. That doesn't surprise me, incidentally. That doesn't surprise me. All right. Let's see here. Unfortunately, it still looks like our government is still stuck in full approved work visa mode while our job market's shrinking and Americans are getting laid off. Don't black pill. Call your reps, people. They revoked a whole bunch of the H-1B visas at the end of last year, like I predicted, by the way. This is the problem. There's during moments where you have all that fog of war, and you have to be careful too, because Trump gets interviewed by media and he might soften his words, but his stance and his policies don't soften. He does this a lot, carrot and stick, whatever you want to call it. And so he might talk soft to a media outlet, and then he winds up carrying through with revoking a record number of H-1Bs like he did back in November and December, right? So all the people who said he betrayed everyone on H-1Bs, he actually revoked more than any president I've ever heard of. So you do have to be able to peer through the fog of war. It's why panicking is such a good eponym, right? Because it really is. These people have a predilection for panic. Oh, is that the Epstein email on Moot?
Yeah. I found it earlier.
There's a lot of speaking of supermod. Did you hear like the repeated references to supermodel human trafficking rings in the emails?
No.
Like modeling agencies trafficking these supermodels. I don't think after the really, I didn't need the Epstein files to discern that. We already heard the Harvey Weinstein case. Funny, a lot of Steens that are doing this kind of stuff on. Yep, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Jeff had a gorilla statue on the island. Harambe? Oh, maybe Cernovich and Gorilla Mine. Oh, Cernovich's rabbi there, Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, he was a regular on the island. That was all over the emails. I read that. Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't hear that specifically, but
there
are
thousands upon thousands of emails and conversations, like
millions, I think.
Just I did not have time to go through half of it or even a percentage
We're still going through it. I feel like we've got most of the highlights, but it seems like every couple of days somebody digs up some treasure trove.
Aren't there still a bunch they haven't even released yet, too? Like,
yes, and there's millions at this point. Evening, y'all. I think Epstein was off. Any thoughts on Nick Shirley's fraud investigations in California? Dude, talk about a target-rich environment. I can't wait to see more. And he's not the only one. James O'Keefe is doing a fraud investigation there at the same time. Good, I say. They're trying to prop up Gavin Newsom. This is what he is presiding over. Jonathan 93 MAGA, might be too soon to ask, but when do you think Bondi and Cash will finally arrest the clients? I mean, that's what the people voted for. Godspeed. That is something that I think has been lost in the ether here, guys. It wasn't so much that we wanted the Epstein files. I wanted the Epstein client list. And I guess what I've tried to emphasize again and again is probably the closest thing to an Epstein client list that we have is Ghislaine Maxwell herself. And in order to get that list, you're probably going to have to give her something, which people are already bridling at the fact that she's in kind of a white-collar prison. She gets favored treatment. Who knows? Maybe that's part of some of the sweetheart deals they're giving her to try and ply her for information. But, you have Ghislaine Maxwell. So if there's a client list, she's it. Anthony, I'm tired, Razor. I just want to go to Latin Mass and pray my rosary, but e-thoughts won't stop wearing my faith as a skin suit. It's just terrible. Guys, should we talk about this?
Oh, no.
Do you have the Milo tweet? I know Elijah Schaefer made another tweet, so I just put out a video, guys, on this stuff. And it wasn't because of the drama. Fuck this drama. I don't care about the drama. You guys know I'm not in with the e-drama. I don't swim in that shit. But
you talking about this?
Well, that's the tweet he put out today. Milo's the one who broke this wide, really. Milo posted a tweet talking about how a while back Elijah Schaefer was fired from The Blaze. He was fired from The Blaze for trying to ram Sydney Watson, is my understanding. There's some kind of sexual harassment allegation. He's a married man, by the way, with kids. And turns out he was having an affair with a girl. I didn't really mention her in my video because the common element in the drama around Elijah Schaffer is not this slag, however slutty she might be. It's Elijah Schaffer. Like he was already fired from The Blaze, as we said, for trying. I think he groped Sydney Watson or something and got kicked out of a hotel and whatever the fuck. There's, again, I don't want to contribute to drama, especially drama that would implicate other creators. And I have personal knowledge of, or second or third hand knowledge of some of the stuff that goes on at Amfest parties because it's here in Phoenix. You know, I know people who do stuff for Amfest and Turning Point and whatever. And dude, I know, for example, a college-age chick who she stopped doing volunteer stuff for Turning Point because of how libidinous the parties are. And
oh my.
Yeah, and I can say this without implicating anyone, you know, who might be innocent. Elijah Schaffer features prominently in many of the stories that I have heard. There's a big party scene. I mean, look, there's a lot of college kids, which is wild. Like Elijah Schaffer, how old is he? What the fuck is he doing hanging out with at college parties? You know what I mean? The fuck? So that whole thing... Anyways, do you have the actual original tweet that Milo posted?
Oh my God. I'd have to go like really far back. Like, when did this start?
It really broke wide yesterday.
Why don't you read a few super chats and I will look for that right now.
Sure. John Wayne, I would love to see you make a video absolutely eviscerating all of the demoralized, pessimistic doomers spurging out over absolute nonsense and obvious paid influencers pushing it. Speaking of Elijah Schaffer, that's another thing I want to talk about here is there was a lot of speculation about Schaffer and where the hell he gets his money from. Because his audience numbers do not justify running around in brand new cars and having tailored clothing and shit. There was something really sus about the guy from the beginning. He features prominently on RT a lot, which is Russian state television. He spends a lot of time in El Salvador. Zoran's in trouble with his base over this. Is he really? Scarlett Johansson didn't need to go to the island. She already went to the trailers of Rob Reiner and the Coen brothers when she was a teen. Yeah, she featured prominently in I think her first big job, the big one that got her Oscar buzz, was a Woody Allen picture. Enough said. Rithugligan, I'm having trouble balancing watching you guys and watching FaZe Connect implode on X right now. I don't know what that is. Do you guys know what the hell that is?
FaZe Connect is the VTuber guys. One of their talents said something and FaZe Connect apologized for it. I don't know.
What? Isn't the whole point of being a VTuber that you disguise your identity so you never have to apologize for crying out loud? Jeez. Black Metal Gamer, man, all this lore would make an insane horror movie. No shit. My balls itch. You see how Epstein was talking with Bobby Kotick about how cool microtransactions are? How can one guy be on literally everything bad? Are you shitting me? Is that real or is he just shitting? I didn't hear anything about Bobby Kotick. I had no idea.
No, I didn't hear anything either.
Yep. Quiet Rioter? Jay-Z. Oh, we just lost Tactical Hobo. I think maybe he lost his connection. But he's still got a link, so hopefully he joins us after. All right. Oh, there he is. Yo!
Press the wrong button.
I hate that. Many such cases. Jay-Z got caught in the files. I don't feel bad for him, son. He's got 99 problems, and Epstein is one. Any word from Beyonce? Because she's done an awful lot of campaigning for Obama, Biden, Kamala. Jay-Z and Beyonce are regular fixtures on the Democrat fundraising circuit. Lapco90, you think there's any connection here with the fact that they happen to be heavily compromised in the Epstein files? Huh? Lapco92, some primitives believed photography takes your spirit. Can we finally look at Instagram and admit they might have had a point? I've seen a few pictures of Sabrina Carpenter that might prove your hypothesis there, I have to admit. All right. Test side. Speaking of acres and acres, not to derail the conversation, but do you have any thoughts or anything we could look into or consider we assault on land and assault on farmland being taken over by XYZ project? That's not the tweet actually, dude. I think that's him reacting afterward.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one.
It was a text. It was a text post. He's been posting a lot, understandably. Basically, Elijah Schaefer, it's a bunch of screenshots and stuff. Elijah Schaefer had basically in private chats admitted to having an affair with this chick who's a co-host with him on his now defunct podcast.
Oh, this one's rich where he's shitting on Destiny. But we can always do that later.
We love Milo. All right. Man, why on earth would you even... Oh, yeah, and he was going after her, too. It's funny. He's pretty much... All the conservathoughts that have been mentioned around this scandal, dude, can I admit to you guys, I had 100% of them muted already. Whenever I see... Does it not bother you guys where you have these chicks who they could literally be standing right next to a normal eggheady dude saying the exact same words in different English, and because they have a rockin' set of sopping wet titties, 10 times the engagement. You know what I mean? I'm not going to name names, but the conservathotosphere. So scroll up. That would be her. That would be the one. She was sometimes co-host on his podcast. And they had a whole dalliance there. And yeah, I don't know if you want to recap, Tarot, if you know all the gory details. I mean, pretty much everybody knows the story by now. But Elijah Schaefer, a fixture at a lot of these conventions, I think he and her had done speaking dates even for Turning Point and stuff on college campuses, which again is suspicious because, guys, I showed you in my video, this guy, go to his YouTube channel. It's Riff TV. This guy's lucky to pull down 1K views on a video. Somehow he gets a gig with Blaze TV. Like, he's featured. I do not understand it. He has so many connections. He's doing speaking dates. And then you have this nebulous, sketchy shit where he's down in El Salvador. He's running around with a freaking brand new Beamer and shit. And dude, what the hell? Like, it's also, he can sort of pretend to be status maxing. I don't know. But anyway, so he finally weighed in. He was quiet for about 24 hours, and he finally weighed in. You want to go back to that tweet real quick?
Oh, yes, his response.
And you guys might remember Elijah Schaefer is kind of doing the Nick Fuentes thing about a year ago. He was, leading the insurgency against Trump. He's betrayed the base. He's like the poster child of black pills. He thanked Fuentes and Gavin McInnes, which I didn't even see Gavin McInnes defend him, but okay. And they're real ones. I got mad aura. Be mad. They will not get away with this. I'm not fucking leaving. Game on. And then the single cringiest photo ever seen by humankind.
Why is it that all of these guys look like Milo at some point in his fashion, career?
Well, scroll down because he immediately takes aim at Milo. Click on read 1K replies.
I can't.
Crap.
I do this in private. Hold on. Let me shift.
He immediately
shift the narrative.
No, he immediately responds to Milo. He says, fuck you for taking aim at me. Yo, there you go. Thank you for making me famous, you fucking snake bitch. Blood is in the water and I hate sharks, which, by the way, decide whether he's a snake or a shark, motherfucker. I have a dick and it works. Not for much longer if you keep doing tests. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Everyone can go cry about it. Sorry, dude. Anyone with fucking eyes could see that shit. He shows up on one episode of his podcast. He's got a triple chin. And then freaking 3 weeks later, he's suddenly taking shirtless photos with abs. Come the fuck on. He does how many goddamn drugs? Of course he's slamming fucking test and steroids into his ass. Jesus.
I was going to say, he looks way different than last time I saw him.
What's up?
I was going to say, he looks way different than last time I saw him.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
paid attention, but yeah.
Exactly.
I'm taking
Maybe
applications
What's up?
for podcast appearances. I'll
Right.
release the info they are shopping about myself.
Dude, fucking narcissist. I don't know about you, but if I were a pan-faced drug addict who abuses test injections to have a hope of seeing his own dick, and my wife had just absconded with my kids, until I dried the fuck out and got my shit together, I know the person that I'd be most preoccupied with at that moment. It wouldn't be my family. It'd be Milo Yiannopoulos. The fuck? Maybe ignore Milo and ring your own wife up, you wall-eyed wignat fuckhead. Jesus. Oh, I love it.
Cheating on your wife, abandoning your kids as a deadbeat dad, bragging about it with mud dick.
That's a great episode of Seinfeld, by the way. It's a great fucking episode. Man, I don't understand. And he's pulling all that trip, to look like that and still get strange from a woman who was about to marry a much more handsome guy, by the way. All I have to say is this walk-in wonder douche must have the personality of the century. He's got to have game. Ladies, all two of you that are watching, I'm sure. Ladies, I need you to hear this. This is just life advice. You do not want the kind of guy who's willing to walk across a crowded convention floor and hit on you cold. Trust me, the shy guy in the corner ain't going to make you the laughing stock at the goddamn internet. Go over and introduce yourself. Your lack of a future bill from Planned Parenthood would thank you later, because this girl, sadly, the rumor is, it hasn't been confirmed, but the rumor is that she aborted his child even. So this gets even more drama. You should be able to tell. The more a guy's making a conversation all about you, the more it's really about him. Welcome to malignant narcissism. Jesus Christ. And Milo tried to give him a chance to kind of clean out, and this is the response. You may notice I'm not so much blaming her. She's taking all the shit right now, or at least she was. But this is mostly him, I think. This is mostly him. The pattern is him. I don't get that. I mean, shit. And this is not a humble brag. Our channel and our podcast is objectively many times larger than Elijah Schaefer's. Thanks be to God, and thanks be to each of you. And I can assure you, I cannot afford a brand new Beamer. I bought like a third-hand Firebird that needed new tires, a new windshield, new motor mounts, basically new everything. It was a restoration project, whatever. I got it because it was less than $2,000, and I had to save up to afford even that. So who in the high holy hell is funding this talent-free faggot with no public speaking skills, no qualifications, no material, and no chin to afford him the ability to cosplay as status maxing so the conservathoughts are firing their panties at him from a fucking cannon? What the fuck? He's spending time down in El Salvador? There have been people breaking down whatever the fuck is going on with his funding. What is your theory on this? Because this guy kind of came out of nowhere about a year and a half ago, was immediately doing the Groiper grift, blew up, but his views didn't. And his engagement was only on X, where most of the engagement is botted, folks. I hate to break it to you. And it seemed like his entire audience was just a giant, like, Pajit shepherding operation. What was your takeaway on him before all this happened?
It's the Jews.
7,000 per tweet, right? No.
Yeah. I got, dude.
Would you believe that?
That was hilarious. I got a comment on my YouTube channel on my video on this last night from a guy. And I'm like, dude, it's one of these accounts that only had the letter. He doesn't have like an avatar. I click on it. The guy's based in Yemen. And it was like, happy cashing in your $7,000. It's like, sure, this guy's running around with a brand new Beamer, tailored clothing, and freaking skinny jeans that look like, if he farted, his shoes would pop off. And he's lucky to pull down 900 views on the average video, but my source of income is suspicious. Okay. He's spending months at a time down in El Salvador doing God knows what. Sure. No, I'm cashing the $7,000 check. What the fuck? Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Oh, here we go. We got a little recap on the VTuber thing. Hold on, from someone. Okay. Nathan Cassidy, short version, a VTuber under Phase Connect was saying Minecraft should be apolitical due to the Good Trouble DLC. Phase Connect bent the knee to the cancel mob by deleting the tweets and saying they don't support racism. Okay, so that's the recap on that.
That sounds like nothing.
Yeah, so I hate drama. I would rather not be talking about this at all. But the reason why we're bringing it up is because we're heading into midterms. And these are the kind of people who were getting signal boosted in a transparent and shepherded effort to divide the right. And it must be admitted out loud. It must be admitted in unison. And it is time to shake the cobwebs off. I had fans, members of the RazörForce, say, man, I was a fan of Elijah Schaffer until X or Y or Z. Well, you have to understand you were taken in by a shepherding operation. And if it can happen to you, it can happen to everyone. So rather than browbeat you and say you're stupid for falling for it or whatever, I'll instead say, how about you blow the whistle when you notice someone sketchy popping up with a sketchy source of income, came out of nowhere, Ian Carroll, and suddenly is on every single podcast making make no mistake. If he wasn't already, he eventually would have wound up on Tucker Carlson's podcast. As sure as the next sunrise, he absolutely would have eventually. This is the playbook that we've seen play out again and again and again. So rather than browbeat you guys or whatever, I mean, anybody's prone to error. I'll just instead say pay it forward. Warn people that these people can't be trusted. Vet their claims. Just because they're telling you something that happens to be popular in the moment or that you might be predisposed to hear in the moment doesn't mean that it's factual. If someone is too afraid of being ostracized to say something unpopular with their audience, they're lying to you for a living. That's the truth. The only way for you guys to agree with me 100% of the time is for me to lie my ass off. So I need you guys to cultivate that Danger Will Robinson feeling. Not all of you, obviously, but some of you, obviously. So, oh, there you go. There's these screenshots that we were talking of. So that's kind of how all of this broke down. We don't need to get into all the gory details. My prayers go out mostly to his wife and kids. I feel bad. And honestly, a little bit for the girl, and certainly for the recently married husband of this girl, who apparently was completely in the dark. You feel bad for the guy. Like, he's not a bad looking guy. He's got everything going for him, unlike Elijah Schaffer. And he winds up in the cut corner through no fault of his own. Feel really, really bad for him. So maybe shoot some prayers out to the good people in this story. The poor wife, the poor kids, and the poor husband of this woman. And hopefully pray for everyone involved here to reform. But mostly I just pray for a discernment for everyone to not be taken in by these shitheels, because we've seen this happen again and again. And there are still a number of people in a similar position expressing similar beliefs to this, with nebulous sources of income coming out every orifice, who are still actually conferred with some manner of social credit. And it's got to be revoked, guys. It's got to be. We're not just going to lose midterms. We're not even going to have a hope of winning an election after that if we don't purge these pissants. It's got to happen. And you've got to hear me on that. So yeah. Alamandorius, I have a social security number from when I was down in PA on an H-2B. I wonder if it's being used like this now, because I went home when the time came. Yeah, watch out, man. you might want to check. Mercenary X, I got the collection notice and credit score. Yeah, dude, it happens all the time, bro. Someone applied for 5 phones in my name. That shit happens all the time. And usually it's illegal immigration. Usually. Either of you got stories about that kind of stuff, identity theft and illegal immigration?
Yeah, I've just gotten those things where it's like, oh, your data has been breached. Here's some free credit monitoring thing for like 5 years, and it's like, dude, the people don't understand that like illegal immigration hurts Hispanic Americans the most too, because like how many Jose Gonzalez are there, right? Like, and like if some dude is from south of the border, he's gonna probably want to go get Jose Gonzalez instead of like a name that like looks very Anglo that like one person has. Right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
We didn't mention it last week, but it was confirmed that the 2 ICE agents that shot Alex Pretty, they were both Hispanic.
They were both brown. So there goes the racist narrative, which they immediately jumped on. Speaking of which, that's actually a great transition because folks, with the SAFE Act or whatever about to be pushed through, Chuck Schumer and the Dems jumping right in front of the bullet. Folks, did you know voter ID, the mere act of having an ID, is racist?
It's Jim Crow 2.0.
Jim Crow 2.0. Man.
Starring Chuck Schumer.
This wizened old baseball glove. He's so freaking old. I think he actually supported Jim Crow 1.0. But anyway.
Do we want to watch this or do we want to read this?
Let's read it. I'd rather not hear Chuck Schumer talk. Actually, you know what? Play it. I feel like getting violently angry for a moment. What the hell?
Again?
Right? It's that time again.
Seeking these election records for no reason. They are violating state laws, federal laws, and the Constitution. And we are in the courts fighting them every step of the way. We are also having oversight hearings and investigations as to what is happening here. Mark Warner yesterday did a great job questioning what the hell is Tulsi Gabbard doing here. She's the head of DNI. She's for international intelligence, nothing to do with local. They're trying to intimidate local elected officials.
Hold on a second. Hold on. What does international intelligence have to do with a vast human trafficking operation that is invariably the animating factor behind all illegal immigration, including in Minnesota? Did he seriously say that stupid shit out loud? The fuck? Did they drill one of those hair plugs into your brainstem? What the fuck? Anyway, keep going.
Working with the local elected officials, how to avoid this intimidation, how to do their jobs. We have millions, or I guess hundreds of thousands of local elected officials who are very proud. They go to the polling place and make the wheels of democracy work every election. We're not going to let them be intimidated. We're going to stand right by them.
So, Leader Schumer, this talk about election security has revived discussions of the SAVE Act, which you have said you oppose. Proponents of it say that it's, to have ID, you have to prove U.S. citizenship to be able to vote. Though some of the claims they make, to be clear, are overstated. We know there's not widespread election fraud. But
I just wanted to pause on that for a second. Just a quick little second.
What's that?
Absorb that.
Yeah. Just for a moment.
I need a drink.
Right.
Yeah, I actually grabbed my drink.
Hey, you want to watch something real quick? Speaking of election fraud, that this would be me and you right here predicting the future. You might remember this, Taryn. You might remember this. You guys might remember this from a Razor Fist arcade stream of Sleeping Dogs, the classic Sleeping Dogs. We predicted this before it happened.
Will the Dems stealing 2020 work? God, they better hope it doesn't.
Yeah, that would be a bigger mistake than losing the 2016 election.
I just have this terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that it's going to go the wrong way. Not only are they going to win, they're going to overdo it and do it like 70% of the country didn't vote for Trump.
And do it like really obvious in that nobody's going to believe it.
Yeah.
And then you'll really have some problems, folks.
Oh, yeah.
because they weren't particularly subtle in Alabama or Florida or here in Arizona during the midterms. You think they're going to be much more subtle in the presidential election in 2020? I don't. I don't.
Wow. I never seen that one.
I forgot about that.
We were way more ahead of the curve. Honestly, I need to try to re-upload my mail-in ballots or BS video. I almost lost my channel over it on YouTube because I warned about 5 months before the election that mail-in ballots were going to be used for mass voter fraud. And it was funny. It was up for 5 months. It had tons of views. People were like, oh, wow, we should look into this, blah, blah, blah. Funny, it was only a couple of weeks after election day that suddenly that video went from being perfectly fine for 5 months to election disinformation. And I got a strike on my channel. I almost lost my channel. I had to delete an entire fleet of election fraud related kind of videos. Coverage of other midterms and all kinds of shit just because I obliquely referenced it. So we were ahead of the curve on that, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's see here. Actually, we should continue with this.
Oh, yeah.
Let's fly into a spittle-flecked rage here.
Polling does suggest there's a new Pew Research poll.
Oh, I was going to, before we sandbag what he just said, I would like to point out how many people got pulled from the voter rolls in Georgia. Was that something ridiculous like 800,000 people?
Yeah, that's not a small number. That's not a small number. I mean, hell, when you had that Michigan recount in 2016, even Jill Stein stumbled into tens of thousands of voters in just one precinct around Detroit that had voted for Hillary, but there was a record of the ballot being cast, but there was no corresponding physical ballot. So there was no physical evidence that it ever existed. Basically, it existed in the computer only. And
interesting.
As soon as that happened, Hillary's lawyers descended on Michigan and killed Jill Stein's recount. Anyway, continue.
That 95% of Republicans, but also 71% of Democrats like this idea. So why do you not?
It's Jim Crow 2.0. And I called it Jim Crow 2.0, and the right wing.
Did ChatGPT write this for him?
Yes. Tony, dude, come on. That's a talking point. They tested that phrase in a focus group. Jim Crow 2.0. That screams think tank from the rooftops. Meanwhile, AOC thinks Jim Crow's the name of a cartoon character, I'm sure. But she's still going to push it. Oh, go ahead.
All over the internet. That's because they know it's true. What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting. For instance, if you change, you're a woman who got married and changed your last name, you won't be able to show ID and you'll be discriminated against. If you can't find a birth certificate or a proper ID, you'll be discriminated against. This is vicious and nasty. And I said to our Republican.
Wait, what does that have to do with black people then?
Exactly. This has always been one of those racist assertions the left ever make. Basically, that black people can't get it together to get a free ID, which is hilarious, dude. Here in Arizona, I don't know how it is where any of you live, but here we have independent MVD locations, or we call it MVD out here for some reason, but DMV locations. And they're like privately owned, but they can do anything the DMV can, basically. And they're everywhere. They're on every freaking street corner. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse. And it's all free or extremely cheap. And I go into them all the time, to get one thing or another, update my tags, pay the government for the right to use my own freaking car or whatever. And every single time there's freaking black people and Mexicans and all. I assure you, they can get their shit together enough to get an ID card or a driver's license. I've seen it happen. I have witnessed this miraculous event.
It reminds me of that thing. What was that?
Yeah.
Years and years ago. Famous clip. I think it was like MSNBC. The lady goes up on the stage and says, "Oh, we're going to use this funding for the schools. The schools need more funding for computer labs because And this is the way it goes. Because some black kids they don't know even how to turn on a computer. What?
What? Well, and what it comes down to is the fewer barriers to registering to vote, the fewer barriers to casting a ballot, the better for the Democratic fraud machine. That's all there is to it. It's as simple as that. Untraceable ballots are their best friend, right? So they would prefer people didn't even have to register. They'd like to do the old thing that the founding fathers were trying to prevent, having a great big voting party in a pub or whatever. That literally used to happen at the beginning of the founding of this country. And we put a stop to it very, very quickly, because pretty quickly it became obvious, they're just buying votes by buying rounds for people at the pub. they're just voting for whoever buys them booze. You know what I mean? That's what the Democratic Party's doing today. And it's no mystery why they would oppose any attempt to.
It was Kathy Hochul. It was Kathy Hochul. Black kids in the Bronx don't know the word computer, is what she said.
I remember this. I don't think I talked about it in a video, but I remember it. I do.
Anyway, where were we?
Yes. With this whole ordeal with Epstein, I just wade in and say probably whatever you suspect happened and then some. Gonna say Alex Jones' statements are a fairly safe bet. Godspeed, both of yous. Godspeed to you, and thank you for joining us. The Azure Nightmare. Communists always lie. Sorry, I have to do it right. Communists always lie. There we are.
It's his own fault. He forgot to put the clap emoji.
Jumpin' Jack Thrash. Clippy to Bill Gates. Hi, it looks like you're trying to pee without excruciating pain. Can I help? I miss Clippy, don't you?
Yeah, but then he went to the island.
I know. He wound up on the guest list. What kind of pedo island has a freaking guest book? Ironic statement. From what I heard, satanic rituals happen tied to H.W. Bush. Oh, come on. Not this. And Nicki Minaj is exposing it, I don't know, for clout or legitimate whistleblowing. Bro, Nicki Minaj. There's a lot of people who were doing victory laps over Nicki Minaj. I'm like, really, dude? The girl who's famous for having an ass shaped like a giant peach? What the fuck? Is that all our criteria is?
She's truly won me over. I'm going to go play Call of Duty Warzone right now and buy her skin.
She's in Call of Duty?
She's in Call of Duty.
Everyone is.
Well, you should be in there, Razor.
Yeah, right. The new fake Bulldyke Lara Croft is in it. Primarch Vulcan Schrodinger's Epstein is both alive and didn't kill himself, and dead and didn't kill himself. Indeed. Candace Owens isn't biologically capable of sane thought. What aggravates me is that there's a lot of AI nonsense, a lot of old conspiracy theories being passed off as part of the redacted files. I am seeing a lot of that. Have you guys come across a lot of just flat out fake ones? Because I've seen a number of them.
A few, and of course, with all the AI slop out there now, like, dude, just going forward, it's gonna get exponentially harder.
Oh,
like, not just with these files, but like everything. It's gonna be.
Did you see the
5
fake?
years from now? You know.
Did you see the fake as fuck? It looked like Epstein and Trump standing in a preschool on Epstein Island, and there were a bunch of little kids all over, and you could tell it was the fakest thing ever. They weren't even the correct height. Like, it was just total bullshit. And dude, major Democratic influencers, Harry Sisson and shit, were retweeting it. It's obvious they're just trying to keep the smoke going because they figure if people will assume where there's smoke, there's fire. And of course, we all know that's not true. Agamemnon Fireman. People finding his movie tickets saying what screenings he saw has also been funny. Michigan Ghost Protocol. Wait, what? Mission Impossible. Ghost Protocol in New York 2012. And The Force Awakens in Florida in 2015. Right before he got arrested. Wow, imagine that being one of the last movies you were subjected to. Jeez. All right. The Epstein files are about to claim the UK Prime Minister as our ambassador to the US. Peter Mandelson was spying for Epstein. The lies from the UK government are sickening. I didn't see that. I did not see that. You want to look that up real quick, Mandelson?
Ooh.
Mandelson, look up Mandelson Epstein. It's Mandelson with an H. Mandelson. Mandelson Epstein. Jared Stevens. Candace is insane. Shapiro and Barris, I assume, are shills. Nick is cringe and Trump is wildly disappointing. I expect nothing of the first four. Trump is gay. I don't care. Marussia Dark. Look up War Clandestine's tweet about Trump-Elon feud as WWE to bait Dems into releasing the files and outing themselves. I called this one early. When Jeffrey Epstein was in prison, other inmates asked him what he was in for. He replied, nothing much, just a minor problem, right? Agamemnon, fireman. Summary. Epstein was an evil, dumb fuck Forrest Gump. Wow. It's actually very pithy, actually. Vault 5 Dweller, what are your candid thoughts on Metal Gear Solid? I have released several videos on the subject, and I would refer you to them. Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes review. Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain review. The live streams of Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. And one of my favorite rants of all time, the Cult of Kojima. Oh, and Death Stranding. The Cult of Kojima holds mass. That too. I would recommend that rant. No shortage of videos on Metal Gear Solid and Hideo Kojima. Vaya con Dios, my friend. Ooh, saw Yojimbo and Sanjuro in theater this weekend. That's awesome. What's this?
The 14 most explosive and emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Mandelson.
Interesting.
Let's see if we can actually scroll down to some of the juicier things. How do I get rid of this? I don't think I can.
Finally got him. How Mandelson persuaded Gordon Brown to quit. Holy shit. Wow. I had no idea.
The value of some chapters in your book should now increase. What the fuck?
See, the really valuable shit is in the emails. The anonymous tip shit is what the Democrats want everyone to focus on, but it's the emails that are actually incriminating. You could tell he's a boomer lib because he still uses email.
And a BlackBerry.
Yep. Well, Blackberries are a little more secure. A lot of people prefer BlackBerry, actually, and are still pissed that BlackBerry went away.
Going to bed after a day of drama. Epstein to Peter Mandelson. Interesting to note to PM. Sent secret Whitehall information to... What the fuck?
Wow.
Interesting note that's gonna...
Wow, you are not wrong. This is a shit show. This is a shit show. Who puts him in contact? Probably Ghislaine Maxwell.
That would be my guess.
That would be my guess as well. Absolutely wild. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Kilgen, I hear the Bitcoin's crashing as if everyone's selling off a bunch of Bitcoin after the files dropped. Wasn't he in on Bitcoin too in the Epstein files?
Oh my God. There's been a lot of questions about who created Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And whose idea was it in the first place?
M2M2. I saw the new Michael trailer. Yeah, I did too. Did you guys?
I saw it. Yep.
The Michael Jackson trailer?
No, I'll have to look that up.
The tagline is his story begins. Seems more likely they'll do a two-parter for the MJ biopic. Lovely is the feeling now. We'll see. Taking a wait and see approach. The thing that I'm worried about, as I expressed on social media, is it looks like it's going to cover pretty much the same ground, at least in the first movie, that the Jacksons, what is it called? Jackson's The American Dream, that TV movie. It's a good TV movie, by the way. It looks like it's pretty much going to cover the same ground as that. Pretty much Joe Jackson is going to be the antagonist, it sounds like. Man, the actor they got to play Joe Jackson looks exactly like him.
I've seen that actor before, too. I forget his name.
Creepy shit. Jared Stevens, the only U.S. politician I can genuinely trust now is Thomas Massey, though Ted
my
Lieu's
God.
oddly compelling. Well, I hope that rubber cement tastes delicious.
Ted Lieu.
Devin Silver. We still have 1 year to go for Detroit to look like Human Revolution. Don't think that's ever going to happen, right? Everybody in the 80s was predicting Detroit was going to look amazing in the future. And it turned out it was just going to look bombed out like Beirut. Golden Fleece. Oh, I've heard about this. There is a Movie Bob or Hitler Richard Spencer quiz that EFAP did a while back. I heard about this. Shout out to EFAP. Mario Carter. This I did hear. I should have talked about this. Poll, the political board at 4chan, was started after Moot met Epstein. Bruh. Which is wild. He must have met him a long time ago, because I remember the politics board being around. I haven't been on 4chan in years, like years and years and years. But I remember it being around when I still used it. So, and that was a long time ago. My balls itch. Considering Epstein had dodged jail before, is getting Agent 47 the closest he was ever going to come to justice? You make an interesting point, actually. Just for the Rickroll on the thumbnail, Godspeed. And the crag, right? Gates fed his wife anti-STD meds without her say-so. Yeah, that was in the emails, bro. Jeff apparently played WoW back in the day. That's not an exclusive club. A lot of people played WoW. A lot of people are going back to WoW. Apparently there was some update that kind of pulled a lot of people back in. I know a lot of people going back to it. Congillion, juice burgers and tradcath thoughts. A match made in purgatory. Mass Effect's purgatory, right? Zyklon, the fact we know we're ruled by satanic pedos and Jews, I assume, yet we do nothing proves we ate cowards unworthy of life. Okay, all right. I hope that was worth the $2. John Horn, I was cautiously optimistic about Spaceballs 2, but after hearing Mel had almost nothing to do with it, I had History of the World Part 2 flashbacks. Yeah, I heard that was ass. Some shambler. You know who wasn't in the Epstein files? Taryn. Taryn appreciation post, those horrible things he did to girls in 1962 were almost completely undocumented.
Those are in the next drop. Don't worry.
Those are in the next drop, bro.
I wasn't even alive.
In 1962. No matter what anyone tells you, Taryn did not rape and kill a girl in 1962. I was on 8chan when QAnon was freaking out over Pizzagate. Wasn't sure it was legit at the time, but here we are. 911 mentions of pizza. Now, I like pizza as much as the next guy. Actually, I like pizza about 10 times more as the next 10 guys. And I'm talking real pizza with pepperoni on it. But I don't think I've ever sent an email that ever mentioned that word ever. What about you guys?
Who has ever sent an email about pizza?
Gang, I like pizza a little too much. But most annoying thing from Epstein files is a claim Epstein created Poll and right-wing internet ignoring his trans agenda and Maxwell being a Reddit supermod. Yeah, that is a little odd. Those are slight incongruities. What's even weirder, tech leftoids are bringing attention to the problems with the social security number system, but they do it by creating a site with every social security number on it. Massey has MTG and Doomcock. Phony energy. Investigating fraud should be the #1 issue. Good thing massive DOJ resources are being used to unredact Prince Andrew's wrinkly nutsack. Great job, Massey. Oh, what a freaking circus. I told Taryn before, it's like there's interesting stuff and stuff that's potentially incriminating, but a lot of it is a sideshow. And when Trump called it a hoax, there are times I think, oh, you shouldn't have called it a hoax. And then there are other times I think, did he kind of undersell it? You know? Fanatic 808. You know what family wasn't mentioned in the files? The Merricks. Vindicated once again. Merrick #1. Now that's fighting words from another Merrick. You see the backlash to Minecraft's Good Trouble DLC. No, we just talked about it, though. Godspeed. Speaking of The Wire, who's closer to Omar Little here? Nick Shirley, James O'Keefe, or Nick Sortor? After all, the cheese stands alone. Also, should the right wage war to claim anime? When you come at the king, best not miss. Oh, man. Who's more like it? Probably O'Keefe, because his entire organization was weaponized against him, and he still managed to survive.
Yeah, now he's got his own organization.
Even if he does spend a little too much time with the grift right, he needs to pay a little more attention to the parties that he's attending. Learn his lesson from the Elijah Schaefer situation. Sir Cool, I hope it wasn't asked already, but thoughts on the bits of Steve Bannon being in the files? My understanding is that he was making some kind of documentary with Epstein, which I don't see what conceivable benefit that could have been to Steve Bannon or anybody unless he was flat out taking payola. Did either of you hear about all this stuff? I did look into it a fair bit, and I saw a number of the clips of the Epstein interview. The big takeaway from it for me was it seemed like he didn't know the first thing about business at all.
I only saw a couple of clips. That was my feeling too. Like he was just trying to sound smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts on the Tucson kidnapping? I'm not sure what you're talking about, actually. The big news out of Arizona, we're going to talk about in just a moment. Thoughts on the Trigonometry podcast. Good selection of guests on varied topics, but they have had some stinkers, and even though they are conservatives, they're European conservatives. I've heard of them. I've liked a few episodes they've been on. I know I've come up in conversation from those guys who've talked about having me on or whatever, but it's never happened. So thoughts on Steven Crowder? I've been on his show many, many times. Big fan. All that matters is Jim Varney wasn't in the emails. Yes! Another win for Ernest. Ernest goes to Little St. James Island. Reaper Grimm. Hey, Vern, does it sound like this Epstein info dump was just to create a massive fog of war so now we can't separate the truth from schizo posting? Do I think that deliberately happened? Maybe. But I would ask you another question by way of corollary. Is there a material difference, given that that's the end effect, whether it was done on purpose or Thomas Massey tripped on his own dick and created the fog of war that now we have to deal with through sheer incompetence and grandstanding? Is there a material difference, apart from the fact that we shouldn't take Thomas Massey terribly seriously anymore? Which, no danger of that with me. I think he's a clown on stilts. All right. Saw a tweet that said, Woody Allen's in the files. I refuse to believe he would cheat on his daughter like that.
That's fucked.
That's glorious, is what that... I mean, terrible. Terrible. Oh, hobo. Do we have to talk about the new Megadeth? Why does Megadeth's Ride the Lightning suck so bad? The new record is not great. It is not. It's not horrific. Like,
Yeah,
it's maybe Super Collider level, maybe, you think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little better than that. Which I didn't even hate Super Collider, but the song Super Collider is kind of, but obvious. There's a few good things on there.
Megadeth's a weird one with me. I kind of pick and choose an album here, an album there. I liked United Abominations. Okay, you know,
Yeah.
I every now
Well,
and
you're
then.
actually more familiar with them than I was aware. It sounds like.
I got United Abominations for free when I worked at Tower Records. I got it in the play stock. Yeah, but it's good. It was freaking autographed for some reason. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. You remember the guitarist in my band had the former Rode guitar for Dave Mustaine, and it was autographed.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I met Mustaine once, and I got I have The World Needs a Hero signed.
Nice.
That was back in like 2004. I met him and Alice Cooper at the same event. In fact,
nice. Was he as big a dick in person as he is everywhere else?
Oh, he was all right with me, but you know,
Okay.
I wasn't up there like asking. I didn't ask him about Metallica or anything.
Apparently, the new Megadeth documentary, Dave Mustaine just comes off like the biggest buzzing dildo on planet Earth. Oh,
wouldn't have it any other way.
Wonky Morris crew, any chances of going on the Unsubscribed podcast? I wouldn't say no. Also, you think the current fraud and the Act Blue fraud could be connected? Yes, absolutely. I think it could. What about you guys? Please, well, you're obviously not muted. See, you're right there on the screen, buddy. To add to the stupid drama, the phase drama was about adding propaganda to Minecraft, teaching kids it's okay to riot using the civil rights DLC as a mask. Oh, right. That was the thing you were telling us about a couple of weeks ago. Thoughts on Blaze TV? Many such cases. Sad. This is why you go for women who are soft, sweet, kind, loving, and affectionate, and gives a rip about you, not just because they are conservative or trad. Yeah. Again, the women were at least as hoodwinked in this situation. Like I said, my advice earlier stands. The guy who's willing to go across the bar to hit on you is probably not the guy you want to go home with, ladies. John Stewart Keller. So any metal music mythos in the works? Yes. I'm really excited about the one I'm working on right now. I'm going in a withdrawal, boss. Well, hang in there, buddy. Why is my X feed now showing elected immigrants and ethnics pushing gun control in the U.S.? Elon more big mommy goth girlfriends on my timeline, damn it. All right. Wasn't Elijah shilling for China just a couple of months back? Dude, the entire grift right constantly sucks Shycom cock. Do they not? Ooh, constantly. They have a completely uniform ethnicity. Fucking pardon? You have any idea how many different varieties of Chinese there are? It's like 31 flavors. Shut your yawning yap. Sonic Boomers. What was with Hollywood having Woody Allen be some moral warrior? I believe he was the guy standing up to McCarthyism in that one film. I mentioned that in my Hollywood Was Always Red video. It's such a clown movie. Such a stupid, cringy scene. Try watching it sometime. Oh, it'll make your skin crawl. Nothing even remotely like that ever happened in real life. In fact, the whole reason there were even hearings about communists is because communists started eating each other alive and reporting each other once it came to light that they were infesting Hollywood and the government. That shit where some bold communist stands up to McCarthy at one of the hearings, that shit never happened. Oh, yeah, before we move off of Megadeth, off topic, Dave Mustaine announced their recent self-titled Megadeth album will be their last. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on the end of Megadeth, Tactical Hobo?
Yeah, they've been probably one of my favorite bands for quite a while.
And I don't hold that against you.
Yeah, we can still be friends. But
no, I don't mind Megadeth's music. I just never liked his vocals.
Right, at many such cases there. Yeah. But no, like, it was bound to happen sooner or later. He recently had throat cancer, and you remember that time when I first met him, actually, when I was like talking about 20 plus years ago. That was kind of when he had like some nerve hand issue, and he was taking a break. But
yeah, he had some like funky nerve condition that affected his playing. Kind of the same thing I think that happened to Demonaz, the guitarist of Immortal. Kind of the same thing. Demonaz kicked out of it though. he's now running Immortal. I think they kicked a bath out, and he's now running the whole band, and he's playing guitar. So
interesting.
You can kick out of it, apparently. But do you think it's a good? I'll put this question to you on Megadeth. Do you think it's a good swan song for Megadeth? The new album?
Well, it's not like their best album because everyone is like, oh yeah, we need Rust. Everyone always wants Rust in Peace to every album, and it's just like, I mean, come on, people, that's not going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
Just enjoy what you can get out of these bands because none of them are going to be around for like that much longer, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel the same way about like Dawkins' last record. They were making they made Broken Bones years ago, and then it was years and years and years until they made Heaven Comes Down, which is their final album. There's no way they're doing another one. There's absolutely no way. I think Don is half paralyzed. Like, he can't even write songs anymore. And his voice has been out to lunch for a long time. But I will say, Heaven Comes Down is a really good album. So it's like, okay, if they have to go out on this record, awesome. Sweet. Like, I'm totally cool with it because these are good songs. His voice isn't great, but, you know, he bears with it. And he covers it in a lot of studio magic, you know, whatever. I have to say, too, the Megadeth stuff that I've heard off the new album, his voice is, it sounds like he's going for like a Lemmy thing a little bit.
Yeah, like I didn't think the Ride the Lightning cover was bad, really, to be honest. I mean, it's not even a cover, however you want to define it, I guess.
Yeah, but it's his song.
Yeah,
like, it's
right,
not really
exactly.
a cover, but yeah.
Well, actually, I find that a lot of like albums, they kind of grow on me, like the more I listen to them. So it's like
absolutely, especially with Megadeth. I find for me, let's see here, Normal Man. I don't care what Kurtman says. In this house, Ben Sisko is a hero. End of story. Dude, are you seeing this Starfleet Academy bullshit? Taryn, I'm calling an audible, dude. Can you look up the damn Troon Klingons and the skirts and shit? We've got Hobo on the show. We're all Trekkies. We just did our season finale of Depths of DS9. We got to talk about Starfleet Academy, bro.
No.
We got to talk about Starfleet. Find it for me on Twitter. We're going to talk about this right now while I get this.
I don't want to.
Yeah. Contrary to the claim Epstein created Poll and Gamergate, Moot banned Gamergate. Yes, he did. And Epstein pushed trans and microtrans. Gamergate vindicated again, right? How does the right move on and course correct? I think we need an issue to sink our teeth into. I think the statewide fraud that links back to the Democratic funding apparatus is a good candidate for that issue. I think that's job number one. We need an issue that we sink our teeth into and everybody unites around. Kind of in the same way that the WikiLeaks emails and shit united the right in 2016. Remember that? All right. Quiet Rioter, much like Fuentes, Schaefer also got no charges for Jan 6. Just saying. Elijah Schaefer. Oh, dude, I bet he rolled. He rolled and named names. No doubt. Java 9090, just FYI, through coding and then reading the code of the pics in the emails, they can crack the sensors on many pics. Basically, it's a matter of time before they crack them. Stay tuned. All right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Ben Mangereer. Talk about the N-word being used at ICE. You see that, guys?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of a sideshow. I mean, no shit. We see... I had seen before that a number of videos of black ICE agents being called Uncle Tom and shit. So it was only a matter of time before they were dropping the N-word. Fuck. Okay, dude. Here we go. Tactical Hobo, I want your unvarnished real-time reaction on... Could there be a more millennial woke slop name than J Den? Holy shit. They named a Klingon like a Mormon kid. What the fuck? But anyway, J Den is from a polyamorous Klingon family where Both of his fathers abandoned him, Tactical Hobo.
It's not a good look they're going for here. I mean, because the guy kind of looks like both of his fathers abandoned him, huh?
No shit. What's wrong with him? Well, we can see what the fuck is wrong with it. What the shit? Oh, skirt Klingons. Skirt Klingons.
Oh God, why?
Can we zoom in on that for the full cringe effect? Oh,
What?
yeah.
That doesn't even look real. That looks like a Photoshop or some AI garbage. This is real?
Yep. Apparently, by the way, this show is already effectively canceled. They've lost all their
Thank
funding, I think it is, right?
God. That's what I heard. I hope it's true.
I prefer the Encounter at Farpoint skirts, people. Okay, if you're gonna do the skirts, you got to do them right. Damn it.
Yeah, that's no dress uniform. No, sir. The thing that blows my mind, as I always hasten to point out, is I actually found the episode. One of these days I gotta upload the clip so you guys can laugh your ass off. Because back in 2004-ish or so, I remember the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, the hidden camera show, did an episode where the joke was they went into the Star Trek writers' room and convinced them, I think it was Rick Berman or Brandon Braga or somebody, was going to go in and pitch a shitty Star Trek show to the writers. And the the humor was derived from the fact that all the writers are sycophants, so they would naturally try and pretend it was a good idea. And the shitty idea for this episode was Star Trek High School. That's what it was. That's literally what this is. That's literally what this fucking show is. This joke show that was a giant punchline in a Jamie Kennedy Experiment episode in 2004 is now a literal show. They actually put it up on whatever it is this week, Paramount Plus or whatever it's called now.
Paramount Minus.
I can't believe it, dude. I gotta see if you guys want to read some chats. In fact, I'll bring one up real quick. I'm gonna look for the funding story real fast. All right.
Casey Doyle, I wouldn't be surprised if Kathleen Kennedy's name appears on the Epstein list within 5 months. Ever watched the movie called The Producers? Follow the money.
All right. There we go.
Topside Crisis. That thing Paul wrote about weak-willed women comes to mind.
Ugh. A lot of what
Hashtag
Paul
revenge.
wrote has aged very, very well.
Satellite Cannon. Asmongold reading the files was like finding notes in a Resident Evil game after the monsters escape.
Hey, Asmongold didn't wind up in the files, so there's that.
I can't even split real life from media, man.
Right? It is resistant to parody. Breaking, by the way, U.S. Embassy tells citizens, leave Iran now. I thought they already did that. By the way, update. I tried through a couple of contacts that I know to get a hold of my friends in Iran, and it's radio silence. I am really if you guys want to maybe pray or something for them, I am really, really worried for them because I haven't heard from them since all these demonstrations popped off. And I know their mother was very, very politically active and kind of resisting the regime. And yet they were still in Iran. They were in a kind of dangerous position. So she was, her mom was like I don't want to say a dean of she worked at a university, I remember. So she was kind of in a semi-prominent position. So she ran a risk or whatever. So I'm very, very concerned about him. Oh, there we go. Eric Anthony Glover. For 2 years, it was my honor to write for Star Trek Starfleet Academy. My first episode of the show airs today, and that honor is only deepened, along with my gaping anus, because this series dares, with a setting, populated primarily by immigrants, often staggeringly alien, always undeniably human, it dares. With a central institution that venerates the foreign-born, treasures their starry treks, delights in their arrivals, houses them from harm, it dares. With a law enforcement protagonist striving to reunite a family she separated, it dares. With a body politic seeking redemption for othering neighbors. For othering neighbors! It
What the fuck?
dares. Oh! I'm sorry, I gotta recover from the full body cringe. What is this? Oh, you want to keep reading?
No.
Neither do I. I don't,
And it does so on the shoulders of immigrants or the children they raised. I can feel the soapbox beneath my feet, which includes
Here we
the
go.
series
Sorry,
creator.
real quick,
Huh?
just before you even finish that. According to inside sources, Paramount has rescinded an offer to Alex Kurtzman in Secret Hideout. For all intents and purposes, Starfleet Academy is canceled. So it is airing, but it has quietly already been confirmed that it basically doesn't have the funding to continue.
Did that basically happen with like exact same thing happened with the Star Wars show, like the Acolyte or something?
Yes, pretty much. Or I don't know if it was Acolyte. It was one of them.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan?
I think Obi-Wan did better, but the Acolyte, I feel like that was like the Star Wars equivalent of like this.
Andor. Maybe Andor. One of those things.
Andor, the show everyone insists is good, but nobody watches. Oh, my God.
What a shame. What a rotten way to die.
And,
Anyway.
and I'm proud that this show dares us to be. It's a shame your show no longer is. Good times.
The writer of Klingon Triple Immigrant episode of Starfleet Academy takes to Facebook and confirms this is all about pushing divisive identity politics, not creating good Star Trek.
Yeah.
Many
Guys,
such
the
cases.
Borg are just immigrating to make their lives better.
Yeah.
Okay.
You notice there's not a lot of critiques of collectivism in any of the Borg stories anymore. You notice that, guys?
The Borg, the warmth of
The
collectivism.
warmth of collectivism, as opposed to the coldness of rugged individualism. Dark Malice says early Elijah did on the ground reporting during BLM riots. Yeah, I'm aware of that. And that's how he got on the Blaze network, which is freaking bizarre because he was not alone in that, right? There's always been something very astroturfed about the guy. If voter ID is unconstitutional, all government-issued licenses, permits, and other such covert taxes are equally unconstitutional. If they want to make the argument that voter ID on a federal level is unconstitutional, they have a point. Because elections are irrefutably handled by the states. They have sovereign authority to handle their elections in and above the federal government. So federal voter ID, I agree, is not constitutional, not even slightly. See, Stryker, good to know Amy isn't the most loathsome Schumer. It's a close race. Jim Crow 2.0, isn't that something the AEW crowd would chant? Right? Did you see that, guys?
I do not watch AEW.
Yeah. Fistradamus, thank you, sir. Imagine our shock when Chuck Schumer's opinion is as half-baked as his barbecuing. I'm still offended by the barbecuing photo op. With the raw burger with the cheese already on it? What the fuck?
I'm just a normal guy like you guys. I grill too.
Yeah. I grill my raw burgers with cheese on top, one patty at a time. Zerp Derp, they were as subtle in stealing the election as I am in a stealth optional mission in insert game here, right? When does the new Styx come out, by the way?
Pretty soon.
God, he couldn't even deliver it properly, the clown. You could tell he was doing the teleprompter thing, too, a little bit. AOC thinks Jim Crow sits with Tom Servo and Joel in the front row of the movies. If you know, you know. Of course we know. Many are still
February-
doubling down on the ICE racism narrative. A part of me wishes the unreasonable could be reached by reason somehow. Well, this is a deflection narrative. If we just don't allow ourselves to get distracted, I think that's job one. And arguably, that's when the battle is won or lost. Correction, Taryn. She said they've never even seen a computer and don't know what it is.
Oh, forgive me.
Stop all the downloading. Do we have any Rumble rants, Taryn?
I
We are
shall check. Sticks,
We are absolutamente everywhere today.
Sticks Blades of Greed comes out February 19th.
Whoa! You're roboting your
I
microphone
am.
was. Yeah.
Beep boop.
It
How
sounded
am
better.
I now?
Mario Carter online voting gave us gushing Granny Apple Mountain Dew. Online, dude, freaking phone voting gave us the blue M&M instead of the based purple M&M. That was rigged, by the way. You guys know that? Purple won, but they had already started making the blue because they assumed it would win, so they just went with blue. They rigged their own freaking M&M election. I was so pissed.
Wow.
Bastards.
Purple won, damn it. The game is rigged. If you're too stupid to get some official form of ID, you are too stupid to vote. Exactly. I do believe in some level of stakeholder voting. I don't think the founding fathers did not create the Constitution to protect the enterprise of voting. In fact, several of the founding fathers wrote extensively in the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers, for example, about, hey, if we could create a system that doesn't involve voting at all and manage to retain the thing we really want to safeguard, which is liberty, then we'd be happy to do it. Some of them had some pretty serious contempt for outright democracy. In fact, I may try and find let's see if I can find that.
While you're doing that,
yeah, please.
We do have Rumble rants. All three of them are from Matthew Hammond.
Oh, sweet.
It was not Sydney Watson. Sydney said it was Sarah Gonzalez at the Blaze that Elijah was inappropriate with her that got him fired. Did you notice how butthurt Democrats were that black people were not caring that illegals were getting deported?
Here we go. James Madison, the father of the Constitution, by the way. A pure democracy, by which I mean a society consisting of a small number of citizens who assemble and administer the government in person, can admit of no cure for the mischiefs of faction. A common passion or interest will, in almost every case, be felt by a majority of the whole, a communication and concert result from the form of government itself. And there is nothing to check the inducements to sacrifice the weaker party or an obnoxious individual. Hence it is that such democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths. Tell me again, the founders created this country. That's the father of the Constitution right there. Created the Constitution itself in order to safeguard the vote. You had to be a landowning white dude to vote back then. They wanted stakeholders in democracy.
You had to have some skin in the game.
Exactly. This is one of the reasons I'm okay with just banning mail-in ballots entirely, maybe outside of military personnel. Because if you're deployed, yeah, you should be able to vote. What the hell? It's through no fault of your own that you're not able to be there in person to vote. But like, whenever you say ban mail-in ballots, they'll say, well, what about the shut-ins? Especially they'll point to, oh, shut-ins and old people, they vote conservative. First off, with the boomer generation, not so freaking much. But second, if you're not able to leave your home, do you have a stake in public policy, really? Does it matter what the policy towards, say, roads is? You're not on them, bitch. You're not really a stakeholder in the democracy. Why should you be getting to vote on like light rail programs and monorails and, shit that everybody's going to get taxed for? You don't have a stake in. All right. We shouldn't force blacks to get voter ID. They already struggle to get milk and cigarettes. Chuck Schumer probably. Was Tammany Hall a Democrat party? Right. Tammany Hall was Republican, I think. Wasn't it? I think it was back when the Republicans, well, shoot, the Republicans are still a progressive party. But I think it was, Tammany Hall was Republican, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Chad,
they're Democrat.
Chad will set me straight if I'm wrong on that one. Because I thought that was back when that city was run by Republicans. No, Democrats. Nope, people are saying no, it's Democrats. Thank you for setting me straight, guys. Sorry, I had a brain fart.
The final Rumble rant from Matthew Hammond says, Razor, Ken Sao on X is great. How amazing will it be if his pontifications about Trump driving a wedge between Russia and China are true and happen?
Russia and China are always uneasy bedfellows, if not outright fractious. And there's a number of issues that are irreconcilable with them. They are, at the end of the day, at each other's throats over some of the same resources and goals. And that's a natural thing. Like, Trump doesn't even really have to work that wedge too hard to make that happen. And there's any number of examples in that connection. Merck, Elijah actually started with PragerU doing liberal university student interviews. Even his wife acted as a purple-haired liberal when she didn't get enough clips. So Taryn's correct. He was funded by Juice. Many such cases. It's wild how the people, the Groyp right use as examples of a purity test for people like me who don't give a shit about Israel are always people who have actually, unlike me, taken money from Jews. It's funny. I've never been to Israel. I've never been in contact with anyone in their government. What the hell? They have been afforded the only thing I can afford them. Complete and utter indifference. Commodore fan, here in South Carolina, basic ID is $5 and a 30 minutes max of the DMV. Anyone who can't do that is lazy as fuck and doesn't deserve to be a part of adult society. Exactly. Leah Wolf the Red, unironically, the Imperium of Man would properly handle this Epstein stuff and none of these elites would escape justice. The Emperor protects. All right. It's insane how clueless boomer X-Gen people are about voter fraud. I watched Two-Way, a dry, boring YouTube politics show. Clueless. Sorry about the negative shout out there to those guys, but it was Shadaloo! M. Bison didn't kill himself. He got claws run through him by Vega. Yodele. Godspeed. If you guys haven't seen the new Naked Gun, it's legitimately great and gives me hope for Spaceballs 2. It may be the best of the series. Luke, drown out Candace with a loop of the X-Files theme. I could listen to the X-Files theme for like hours on end. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it's great.
It's freaking one of the best TV show themes ever. Right up there.
The movie soundtrack was really good.
Wasn't it the same guy did that did ER, which is a banging freaking theme song? I don't even like ER, but it's got a great theme song.
It might be.
Nathan Song Snob. Anti-Ice Guy just told me Israel's the problem, not communism. I thought you guys said Israel was communism. Stalinist self-report. Marxists hated Jews too. Again, I always hasten to point out there's this false talking point that like Jews were overrepresented in the early Bolsheviks. Not in leadership. And you have to remember, Bolsheviks came from academia, which Jews were overrepresented there. Shit, tactical hobo split. The big thing to point out there is Stalin. Welcome back, Mr. Hobo. You got a gray screen for some reason. Oh, what's up?
Wrong button again.
Yeah. The big thing to point out with Stalin is that he authored the second deadliest anti-Jewish pogroms after Hitler. So that's a funny way to man a mass Jewish communist conspiracy. I'm glad that Noam Chomsky is still alive to see his fellow leftists melt down over his connections with Epstein and Dude, he's all over the Epstein files. I forgot about that.
I didn't even think about searching for his name.
Chomsky, yeah. Happy pre-Friday. Drawing while hearing this. Godspeed, bro. Any new Razor books on the way? Yes. And I'm really working up a lather on writing right now, so I'm really stoked about the new volume of Nightvale. I've also got an idea. So next year, fingers crossed, The Shadow goes into public domain. And I got a pulp story ready to go on that. So I'm wanting to kick off my own ongoing series of shadow pulps, and I'm thinking I'm going to illustrate them myself. So anyone finds this new is a revelation, but to us, it's just Thursday. Godspeed. Godspeed, sir. Thank you for joining us. You guys excited for the Super Bomberman collection that was announced and released today? I like Bomberman. What about you guys?
Yeah, I saw the Nintendo Direct. It's a rather big Bomberman collection, but I don't know. I'm not sure if that's for me.
Yeah. You ever get into Bomberman, Tactical Hobo?
You know, I don't think I've ever played it, actually. Crazy enough.
All right. I don't hate Kojima. I hate the cult. Deadass wants to make shit movies, LARPing his games, fine. People buying them claiming they are the Bible, F off. All right. Hello, Razor. Any cozy games you play to unwind? Hunter Call of the Wild is my Zen game, man. And it's funny. This is not going to sound cozy, but I'm kind of autistic like this. I got so much better at Street Fighter doing this. I used to every single day after work from like 2006 when it first came out on Xbox Live to I still do this sometimes in the present when I'm done doing my work for the day. Just sit down, grab a drink of some kind, and as I'm winding down before bed, just play several hours of Street Fighter 2 hyper fighting. I just zen out. I'll put on a podcast or a radio show, listen to Coast to Coast AM or Michael Savage or something, and I'll just zone, right? That's my game. That's my Zen game is any Street Fighter. I'll pick a different one. HD Remix for a while there was one. Even Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'll zen out to those games. And I'll tell you what, it makes you a lot better at those games when you play them every single night for hours on end. I wound up going to tournaments even later on. Thank you, BCD YouTube. Loser Epstein, please, Sensei, come to my island. Chad Silvio Berlusconi. Get lost. My girls like to come to my parties willingly. Did Berlusconi seriously say that? Or some variant of it? Man, the Eurotrash right hated, or the Eurotrash left rather, hated Silvio Berlusconi back in the day. Slightly off topic, but what's your take on Frank Cassio suddenly deciding MJ diddled him after decades of defense right before the biopic releases? You think it has to do with the biopic? Or do you think it has more to do with the fact that the estate is now walking away sideways from the fake Frank Cassio Michael Jackson tracks on the Michael album? I want to make a video about this. Actually, I'm in the process of putting it together. There was a fantastic Michael Jackson podcast series on Spotify that you can listen to. What is it? Unmasking the Michael album or something like that. It is brilliant. I can't recommend it highly enough. My video isn't going to come close to how deep of analysis it is. But basically, the Cassio family sold a bunch of fake Michael Jackson tracks. He is not singing on those songs. And they wound up on the posthumous Michael record, the first posthumous album that was released. Candace, posthumous. The first posthumous Michael Jackson album. And it's basically been exposed and blown wide open. And wouldn't you know it, right after that podcast came out, the Cassio suddenly decided, Michael Jackson, he diddled us. Even though we defended him under oath in court, this technically makes us perjurers. Bull fucking shit. Bullshit. Absolutely ridiculous. And the whole past with the Casios, there's a whole thing where they kept trying to get into the music industry over and over again. They were basically orbiting Michael Jackson, trying to benefit from him. That's really the big thing that Michael was guilty of. And he was a little naive with people, and he let people in his orbit that just shouldn't have been there. He relied too much on the fundamental goodness of other people, because he was fundamentally such a good person himself. That's the big takeaway that I have from all these stories. Giga Dramone. A friendly reminder, if you played on Xbox Live in the early 2010s, there is a non-zero chance that Jeffrey Epstein called you a slur. That's true. That's true, guys. So anything is possible. Anyway, to Kubrick being killed for knowing too much with Eyes Wide Shut, he was old and fat, and he had dark circles under his eyes and looked like he could die at literally any minute. No, he was not killed. No. And that movie kind of sucks. Trust me on this. In Metal Gear Solid 5, go into options and display and turn off marking. Night and day difference for immersion. The best stealth happy accident. I've said many, many times, I don't like Kojima. I don't like Metal Gear Solid. I don't like the story in the game, but I like the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, a lot. It's like, it's not Splinter Cell. It's not Thief. It's nowhere near that league. But hey, at least if you're in a dark room and you're wearing a black outfit, you're harder to see. It factors in things like sound and line of sight, and it's actually got a little bit more robust of a stealth system. It's actually a stealth game for once. Whereas most of the Metal Gear Solid games are just action games where you play the radar and pretend that it's stealth. It's interesting the mails show how segregated the billionaire networks are. They need a guy like Epstein connecting different circles, and some still hang on race-based grouping like a Chan autist. It's true. Cameron gut-free kidnapping on Fox News. Yeah, I don't know. But Razor, don't you know? Trump isn't releasing the files because he's in them. A lot of lefties don't even know these files got released, which is why they're trying to signal boost him so much. I think that's actually pretty near the mark. And dude, Scott Rasmussen and Barris and shit trying to make this like a great big meltdown event. If we have a problem heading into midterms, it will be because of the well poisoning from people on our own side. I'm happy to say that. And more importantly, the big thing that's going to decide it is, what's the price of groceries? What's the job market? Is it turning around? What's inflation? What's the price of gas? This is the shit that decides elections. The only people who are terminally online, like us, are talking about this. Been in a real tear through the Steam backlog, knocked out 12 games. Since I'm going through my collections, what's your favorite Castlevania? That's a good question.
Oh,
I love OG. I played it in arcade and loved it so much. I still love that game. It gets lost in the shuffle because Symphony of the Night has stolen so much thunder, and I love Symphony of the Night too. Don't get me wrong.
but Razor, let's remember, for true Castlevania fans,
64?
Castlevania starts at Symphony of the Night.
Oh, of course.
I just pissed off half our audience.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Man. No, I love the OG. The OG has this great sword and sorcery vibe, right? It's not just, it got more goth and animu as it went on, but like the early Castlevanias feel like they've got a little Robert E. Howard in them, just a little bit, with the soundtrack and the look of it all. I just love those games. There's nothing like them. Absolutely fantastic. You got a favorite one, Hobo?
I'm not super familiar with the series beyond the first game. I think I played that, but I haven't played all the newer ones.
Everyone played the first game. Either of you ever play the 3D ones?
Oh yeah, Lament of Innocence is one of my favorites.
No, that's the PS2 one, right?
Yes, sir.
Stormcrow, I didn't hate that one. Stormcrow 9008. The only reason Merrick didn't show up in the files is because Merrick covered it up. Also, a general reminder that Bolin is rightful Lyran Clay. There is no rightful Lyran Clay because you're all space commies and property is theft. Blow it at your freaking space commie ass. Hammer of Subtlety. You know who I haven't seen in the files? Dick Cheney or McCain. Guess they were just like that, right? You guys mentioned the possible connection between Epstein and Bitcoin. Well, totally not related. BlackRock just dumped $275 billion of Bitcoin. Weird. Why is it BlackRock can't do a single damn thing that isn't suspicious?
Or evil.
Yeah. What the hell?
I got a feeling we're about to learn something about Bitcoin in the next few days.
Yeah. Once again, the Dawn's been proven right. Also, did you see the Netflix hearing? It looks like the right is finally taking a dump on the lefties after years of sitting on the pot. Next comes the flush. I did not see the Netflix hearing. What is he talking about?
I'm not sure.
I've been keeping up with the news and everything. I didn't see anything about it. Metal is dead. Death metal killed it, and there aren't enough roadies to clean up the blood. Big media sucks. Man, there are some good bands, though, coming out. I've been listening to the new Tail Gunner record. So freaking good. From
Tail
Sensory
Gunner.
Media. Tail Gunner.
Like kind of like classic metal, I'm guessing, style.
And you got to check out Tail Gunner if you haven't yet.
All right. I will look them up.
Yeah. Razor, what are your thoughts of Gina Swoboda leaving the CD1 race for Secretary of State race? Alex Culloden seems to be an actual MAGA candidate. You know what? We're going to do a follow-up to our video of like, you think we should do like what we did earlier, where we go race by race, state by state, and maybe just do an updated version of it in a month or two at like the midpoint between before the midterms, so we can kind of have a progress report, something like that. Maybe like predicting the midterms or something like that. We'll think of a better, catchier title, but like do an updated version of what we did a few months ago, guys. You think?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe we
Good
could
idea.
cover some of that stuff in the meantime. ICE also targets human trafficking and exploitation. Yep. Can't be a coincidence celebrities are doubling down on attacking them right now, right? They have a lot to lose. Yes, I did see this. She, meaning the girl involved in the Elijah Schaffer infidelity. Again, I haven't named her because the common element in all this shitty behavior is not her. It's him. It's terrible what she did to her husband and everything, but I'm trying to keep her name out of my mouth a little bit. Even though, you know, she's a terrible human being. But she had the Pope bless her marriage photo and everything. Wild. Also, the kidnapping was the mother for the host of the Today Show in Arizona. What? I had no idea. Which, by the way, Carrie Lake used to be a host of a early morning show here in Arizona. So that's wild. I had no idea about that. We do have a story about Arizona coming up here, though, that you guys are going to want to hear about. Starmer's going down faster than Meghan Markle at a casting party. Fantastic. You know what that calls for?
Kamala did what Kamala always does. She just put her head down and she went to work.
Here we are. Sorry. Big news the past few days. Indeed, she's apparently a yacht slut. Did you catch that?
Oh my God.
Turns out Meghan Markle is all up in that Epstein yacht crowd. She's a yacht slut. It explains so much, doesn't it?
One of those party girls. Oh, yeah, the ones that fly around the world and take Instagram photos.
Yeah.
What
do you think of Alberta's bid for independence? Guys, I got to get your thoughts on this. I oppose it. I don't oppose their independence. I oppose them becoming a state because we don't need them. We don't need another Minnesota. And that's what their politics are like.
Not statehood, no.
Yes, they're right-wing for Canada, but Joseph Stalin is right-wing for Canada. Come the hell on. That's my opinion. I do hope they gain independence, though. Become the Texas of Canada. Do it. Do it. And then we can have close trade ties with them. And maybe that can inch them ever so slightly to becoming a country I wouldn't mind becoming a state, right? We'll do one more, and then we're going to go on to the next story real quick. Let me see if I can find one on the subject, so we'll have a nice little transition. Okay, I'm not really seeing one, but let's see here. Hung Nguyen, poll shows blacks and Hispanics support voter ID, by the way, many such cases. Many such cases. So we, speaking of voter ID and illegal immigration and trying to curtail voter theft, shall we talk about the latest little, shall we say, episode of cultural enrichment, Taryn?
Oh, goodness.
4 more Americans killed by an illegal alien trucker in Indiana.
I wonder where he got his license.
I wonder.
California.
Yep, let's hear it.
4 more Americans have been killed by a migrant trucker who was admitted by the open borders policy supported by President Joe Biden, many Democratic politicians,
and Thomas Massey. I don't want you to move off of that. And Rand Paul and Ron Paul, who just put out the cringiest video ever today and touched on his open border stance. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, lolberts. But anyway, continue.
And many anti-ICE activists. The 4 Americans in Jay, Indiana, were killed when a Kyrgyzstan native Beksan Beshkiv allegedly smashed into their vehicle. The killing was described as on Tuesday afternoon, a 30-year-old truck driver from Philadelphia named whatever the fuck failed to stop for slowed traffic on State Road 67 in Jay County, Indiana. He swerved into oncoming traffic and killed 4 Amish men from the Bryant community.
Yep.
Henry Eischer and his sons Menno and Paul and Simon. Fucking went out of his way to kill Amish.
Absolutely ridiculous. And there's just no vetting at all of their ability to drive at all. It makes me furious because, dude, I'm a retard. I normally am good at taking tests. I don't know if I've told this story before. I had to take the freaking driving test like 3 times. I'm normally good at tests, man. I couldn't get it down. It's funny because my driving record is perfect. I was a good driver, but I was just bad at taking that damn test. The written test, I mean.
So apparently he failed to brake for a slowed semi-truck in front of him. So he swerved out of the way and hit those Amish people.
Yeah. I can.
The mass killing is...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. You keep on going.
The mass killing is one of the many similar roadway deaths at the hands of unprofessional black market foreign truckers.
Hold on, go up to the top. Go up to the top again.
All the way?
Where did it say it's from?
Kyrgyzstan.
Like at a first glance, I thought it was from China, but
nope.
Oh, he's actually from Kyrgyzstan. Okay.
Yep.
There we go. The country that got its name when someone ate a bowl of alphabet soup and then just puked, I guess. Just random consonants.
But is yet to be denounced by the Democratic Party leaders who are using the death of 2 American street activists to shelter their illegal migrant sanctuary city economies from President Donald Trump, from Trump's 2024 mandate for the enforcement of immigration laws. The trucker is likely part of the huge black market trucking sector that was dramatically expanded by Biden's Cuban-born pro-migration border chief, Alejandro Mayorkas. He rolled back border checks because he favored migrants over Americans and was minimizing wage gains for Americans to help Wall Street's stock values.
Stunning and brave. Stunning and brave. Fuck ICE, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck ICE.
The trucker was allegedly employed by a chameleon carrier within a network of foreign-owned companies. These carriers use internet-linked brokers to pair deliveries with migrant drivers. Many of the migrants are not illegal, but they illegally take jobs after entering the country legally with B1 and B2 tourist visas.
This is why we need a pause on legal migration. We do. I understand Trump has to sell it as we want legal immigrants, but the illegals have got to go. I get that he's got to sell it that way, optically or whatever. But honestly, for the good of our country, for our civilization to even have a chance, we need to pause legal migration. We have in the past shut down the border for long periods of time in order to allow the existing immigrants to actually culturally coalesce. We haven't done that since Ted Kennedy, since Hart-Celler. Everybody was involved in the Hart-Celler Act permanently borked our immigration system. So this is key. This is necessary.
He was reportedly allowed into the United States and given a work permit. Yeah. I think I read that one already. Under the Mayorkas is a quasi-legal CBP-1 program, which was loudly supported by Democrats and business interests. Yeah,
yep, absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just corporate assholes who want the cheap labor.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's why they donated so heavily against Trump in every single election. They're worried about that cheap labor. I mean, even Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's a bit. She's big on continuing the freaking visas because she employs lots of illegal aliens.
The driver is reportedly from Kazakhstan and is based in Pennsylvania, likely making him one of the strong solo Sergei drivers used by Eastern European companies operating throughout the Midwest.
Yeah, it's always some red state where this shit happens. Wasn't the last one the Sikh guy who did that U-turn and the whole family freaking crashed right into the semi? What was that in Texas?
I forget where it fucking was.
Yeah, I know he got
There was one actually in between too. There was one that happened after that, where I think it was an actual Indian guy who just plowed through like 3 or 4 cars.
Florida. It was down in Florida. So yeah, this seems to recurrently happen in red states. So these guys get some driver's license or a work permit or some shit in California. Yep, this guy.
Did you happen to catch that?
Yep, there you go.
Watch this guy.
Absolutely disgusting.
Boom.
Absolutely disgusting.
Good Lord.
Pause this bullshit. Dude, we need a complete pause on this. We got Somali fraud rings sending money back to Al-Shabaab and shit.
Oh, yeah, we're well overdue for immigration pause.
This is ridiculous. We have not had a major immigration pause since Eisenhower was president.
I mean, we're closing in. The U.S. is closing in on like 400 million people now, too. I don't know if people are aware of that. And, like, you know, back in
the implication, dude, have you seen some of the congressional speeches about this SAVE Act? Have you seen some of the Democrat grandstanding? Basically, the implication, if not overt statement at this point, is everybody in the world is American. How, dude, I'm old enough to remember when Rammstein was being praised by the left in the early 2000s for that cringy, "We're all living in America, America." That song bashes America because we're exporting our culture. Now it's the unironic immigration policy of the very same boomer libs who are praising that fucking song, along with Green Day's American Idiot Autismo Fit. Fucking shit. That's real life now. That's real life now.
Migrant drivers overwhelmingly come from poor countries. For example, many migrant drivers on the West Coast are from India. They have a huge economic incentive to cut corners because they are desperate to earn as much money as they can, often for their wives and kids back home. In practice, this means the foreign drivers often ignore professional standards, safety regulations, and speed limits, cooperate with thieves and drug smugglers, and accept lower wages that both impoverish U.S. drivers and slash corporate investments in automation and productivity.
Yeah.
The black market is welcomed by many major companies because it allows them to cut logistics costs while hiding from the risks and shielding blame for their illegal and unprofessional foreign work.
It's a glorified loophole. It's a glorified loophole. Boo fucking who, send them all back, says the trash panda. The trash panda.
The black market also undermines the professional trucking sector, which is operated with federal safety training and insurance rules for many decades.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, here's the one you were talking about.
Yep.
I'm not even sure I want to watch this.
Yeah, it's
one.
a snuff film. I don't want to watch it. It's the most repulsive footage I think I've ever seen. And I saw Lizzo twerking with James Madison's flute.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has tried to suppress this black market trucking industry, but he is facing huge pushback from the trucking industry, courts, and politicians who are eager to avoid antagonizing the many companies and investors that rely on trucking. Mm-hmm. Duffy is also facing claims that his attempted reprofessionalization of the trucking industry may raise Americans' wages, thus nudging inflation upwards.
Yep. That's the thing. This is the thing. AJC's got it nailed down here. He was entirely unfazed by it, too. That's why the footage bothers me. You don't see that much. It's not like it's gory footage. It's the fact that he's just like, oh, okay, I just murdered 3 people. All right, whatever. Okay. I'll just go ahead and keep on turning my steering wheel. Fucking firing squad.
It's not politically correct to say, but, like, life is less important. It's less of value, let's say, in some other countries, right, than it is here. Like certain countries where lots of immigrants are coming from. That are around
you mean life doesn't have the same value when you're putting only recently deceased bodies into the most polluted waterway in the entire hemisphere on the entire planet, and people are, contracting dengue fever from a single teacup of that water? Like, seriously, dude.
Yeah, like there's another 1.5 billion of us left. Who cares if if people die? That's how they think over in these places, I guess.
No shit. The Red Scare, they call it, and decades later, we know media, academia, and government are full of commies. The Satanic Panic, they called it, and decades later, we know media, academia, and government are full of satanic pedos. No connection, I'm sure. All right. I've been of the opinion that the human faction in Star Trek is basically a far-left utopia, and how dystopian it is. Who wins, 10 Truningons or 5 fat Bib Fortunas? De Jabba Nobada? De Wanawanga? My theory is the reason why the Trump admin took so long to release the files is because it would have swallowed the other important headlines like Iran and Venezuela, and their impact would have been forgotten. I don't think the timing is coincidental. I think they are picking their spots in terms of the timing of the drops. Granted, they're going through one batch at a time, but I don't think they're just dropping them as soon as they're done with them. Are you guys going to do something like Depths of Enterprise after you finish DS9? Don't have to do every episode. No. We do have an idea for maybe a Deadwood series, though. Dax is a black woman of strong stature now. Is she really? I came up with a quote back in 2021 to best summarize all of these issues in culture. When you replace escapism with realism, it's no longer fantasy. Especially when the only thing realistic is how woke minorities are in the future. Remember, there's a great quote from Avery Brooks when he was talking about, he was in a convention and he's like, people kept asking me, what was it like playing a black captain? And he said, I wouldn't know. I didn't play a black captain. I played a man. How the hell am I going to play brown? How does it? You can't play a color. and he goes off. You can't play that. You can't play that. Instead, I just have to be a fully formed human being in the future. And you wonder why Ben Sisko's the best freaking captain in Star Trek, for crying out loud. You wonder. All right, here we go. Turning against Trump being the Sonichu medallion of the right is the most apt thing in your video. Whitewashed tombs, the lot of them. Godspeed, bro. Random thought. Fishing is a shit hobby. No, it's not. I like fishing. What about you guys?
It's quiet. Peaceful.
It's very zen. It's very zen. I used to fish at what's that park here in just outside Phoenix with the hole in the rock? I'm talking about. I'm trying to think. Not in I keep wanting to say in Canto. But it's not. Yeah, there's like a nice pond and there's a hole in the rock, which is kind of a tourist trap. And then right at the bottom, there's this nice little fishing pond. I used to go fishing there when I was a kid and up in my teens or whatever. It's pretty cool. Dear Razor, Eric Anthony Glover's post has caused me to cringe so hard I've dislocated my limbs and swallowed my tongue. Please send help. All right. Make sure you check your Steam notifications. Oh, my goodness.
Not again.
They recently got into Battletech. I love it. Total clan death. I love the madness of the inner sphere. Godspeed and welcome to the ranks. Remember, we the Battletech fans own the franchise, not Catalyst. Hell, Catalyst don't even technically own the franchise. They're just paying for the license for a while. Let's do another Summer of Love and then put the 14th up for a popular vote. Godspeed. Didn't know that China's population had fallen below India's. Their demographic issues are really going to be horrible soon. They're lying about their population. China are. I mean, just flat out. They are. All right, here we go. Remember the Pure Moods CD? It had the X-Files theme. I didn't know that.
I remember Pure Moods.
This was a viral question going around for a while. Which president would each of you want if extraterrestrials arrived? He's leading Adams. John Adam.
Nixon.
Teddy Roosevelt. Just go full Independence Day on their asses.
I was going to say the president from Independence Day.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but...
President Bill Pullman. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you pick one, Taryn?
Nixon. He can sick Agnew on them.
Right. There you go. A RazörForce lead the Shadow comic. Count me the fuck in. Yeah. Godspeed. Well, I'm thinking pulp, not a comic. It'll just be an illustrated pulp novel. Series of illustrated pulp novels. Bongino's been calling out the grifters. I did see that. It was a pretty good rant. I've never been a big Bongino fan. Not a detractor necessarily, but speaking of Styx, if you happen to hear about Styx, I'm not going to talk about the drama, but I know that he's going through a rough patch. I've reached out and let him know if he needs anything. In fact, I invited him to be in the podcast anytime he wants. He's more than welcome if he just wants to drop in and talk about anything other than e-drama. He's always welcome here. Mercenary X sent a ton of rumbles, he says.
I don't see them.
Speaking of downfalls, Scotty K Fitness crashing and burning's been great. If you want to see a man's true nature, give him an ounce of fame. I don't know who that is.
More e-drama.
Yeah, I guess. Speaking of Hunter Call the Wild, I live near the biggest Cabela's in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. I loved playing some of the Cabela's video games, even if they were just simple walk and shoot games. Yeah. The Hunter Call the Wild is just, oh man, if you just want to be in nature with the headphones on, and it's the next best thing to real hunting. Sam Hyde proposes a bill offering inner city would-be voters $2,000 but they can't vote in that election. Republicans would win literally every time, right?
Someone said something similar.
Mhm.
Okay, you can be on EBT or assisted living or whatever. We'll give you $2,000 a month, but you can never vote. You're no longer eligible.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could do something similar. Again, if the states control their elections, then I think a big way to defray fraud is you've moved to Arizona. There's a lot of people who vote in our elections who claim that they moved here but didn't. Okay, you moved here. There is a cool down period of 5 to 10 years where you can't vote in the elections until you're properly integrated with the population. I think that kills 50 to 60% of the fraud right there. Just kills it flat. Because again, we're talking untraceable ballots from people who were only recently registered. That pretty much kills half of it. All right. Had a guy push this drop of information as Trump being guilty and literally not reading 2 sentences over in each of them saying not corroborated. Yep, exactly. The big yellow label that was on all the Trump tips that literally said, yeah, we checked this out and it's complete bullshit. The guy's crazy. Cops recommended that there be like mental health intervention and shit 3 times. Like that thing has been filtering 90% of the grift right. Each riots, BLM 2020, My Body, My Choice 2022, Palestine protest 2024, anti-ICE 2026. See a pattern? It's the election year variant, folks. Bigger surprises are who aren't in the files. I expected some animators like Seth MacFarlane or the Ren and Stimpy guy. Any absent names you expected? Well, we do know Matt Groening was in the files. He got a foot massage from someone who may or may not have been of age. Any absent names you were surprised weren't in there?
I don't
Trying
know
to
everyone
think.
wasn't in there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Rob Reiner, maybe? Can you talk about Trump's new drug pricing? Yeah, Trump RX or whatever just launched today. I'm still deeply ambivalent on it. But we'll see how it goes. What about you guys? See, unfunny Andrew Schulz condemn ICE and Trump. He had Trump on his podcast before re-election. Oh, yeah. He was him jumping ship. I saw that the other day. That's the enlightened centrist shtick jumping in. We'll probably get something like that from Rogan eventually if we haven't already. I wouldn't be surprised at all. You know, these are allies of convenience. These are the people you bring into the big tent during election season and then quietly show out of the big tent after it's over. That was kind of the entire point of my last rant, really. I don't care about any of this e-drama. Elijah Schaffer ain't shit to me, or frankly, anyone else. It's using him as an emblematic example of the kind of person that you need to gatekeep out of this movement. The big tent strategy advocated by Charlie Kirk, God bless him, God rest his soul, was wrong. The long-term big tent strategy, I mean. There's going to be a natural expanding of the tent during every election season. We all recognize this. But after that, it needs to contract again. It needs to. Because you can't leave these bad actors in your own midst unpoliced and expect for your movement to survive. You just can't. Still trying to wrap my head around some blacks being trained Marxists when Marx was an unapologetic racist. Also, isn't that also their reasoning for why the free market is bad? Because it's racist? It doesn't have to make sense, bro. And you have to understand the early American civil rights movement was up to its titties in communists.
They'll support it if it supports their viewpoint.
Razör should stream the Cabela's games. The DH games are wild. The hunters are like doom slayers. You even fight a Yeti in one of them. Yeah, those got crazier and crazier, didn't they? Candace says posthumous, like Arnold saying past tumors without an accent. Oh, nice, Hunter. Nice. Hunter Call of the Wild has been my unwind cozy game as well. Also American Truck / Euro Truck Sim, right? There's a theory that Epstein got banned from Xbox Live because he told Gates he was disgusted with trying to slip antibiotics into his wife's drink. Wouldn't that be hilarious if it was because he talks shit about Bill Gates? According to the files, these elites worship Baal and Moloch. Like, what the fuck? Why? Isn't in there those old gods' lore like self-admittedly evil?
I think that's the point.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Lords of Shadow, not so much the second one. Yeah, that series went down in flames. I think I last heard it shouting Free Palestine. Okay. Tatsku Wright. Richard Barris's heel turn is the most disappointing part of the influencer stuff. Going from claiming BB is behind everything Trump does to now saying Trump is going to push mass amnesty this week. Sad. I don't know what's going on there. I've been invited on his podcast and shit. We never really followed through. Maybe I'll accept the invite finally just to confront him to his face. Because I've heard some things from Richard Barris that, I mean, I hope he sees this clip. You're full of 15 shades of shit. All right? And the worst part is I've seen you get caught after predictions that you put out there did not pan out, and you didn't even address them like a disingenuous sack of shit. And you know you fucking did that. You know you did that. And you're a good enough pollster to know you're full of shit even as you're making the statement. I don't know what's happening there. If it's just a great big fart huff and hoedown because he's buddies with Robert Barnes. But, you know, I've seen Fry, Viva Fry. He hasn't gotten caught up in all the grift right bullshit, even though he does a podcast with Robert Barnes. Where the fuck is your self-respect, Richard Barris? The fuck? I think it's because they're just linked at the hip to Massey. They can't let go of the Massey spurging. This has to be an out-and-out attempt to crash Bitcoin, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was about. I think they're talking about more VTube drama. I don't watch VTubers.
Yeah.
Canada sucks.
Canada sucks.
It makes me want to play the Mystery Science Theater song again, but we'll get copyright claimed.
Yeah.
Bacon eating bastards, he calls them at one point. If Alberta, I am a bacon eating bastard though. If Alberta gains independence, Canada will be split into Manitoba and British Columbia aren't going to be left holding the bag. They'll jump ship too.
I don't want British Columbia. I really don't.
I don't see them leaving British Columbia now.
Yeah. The Azure Nightmare. Remind yourselves that Razorfist can't drive 55. Look at his gameplay of the Saboteur. Hey, now. The driving mechanics in that game suck ass. They do. Hail, Razor. Saw you getting into a bit of a nerd war over the prequels the other day. I'd forgotten how idiotic Star Wars fans can be. Hope George isn't on the redacted files. He's not, actually. He's not. I think a lot of people misinterpreted that quote anyways. I wasn't saying Phantom Menace is the most amazing movie, although Tactical Hobo and I both love the prequels. We nerd bonded over the prequels back in the day. You and I even saw 2 of the prequels in theaters together. Remember that, dude?
Yeah, dude. I remember I saw like did we go see episode 3 at midnight?
We did. You and me saw Revenge of the Sith at midnight.
Yeah, and then I remember
I loved that movie walking out of it. I thought it was freaking rad. I saw Phantom Menace in theater. The only one I didn't see in theaters was Attack of the Clones, I think. But I saw Phantom Menace, I think. Didn't you and me and our buddy, our Chinese buddy, you know what I'm talking about, go together to see Phantom Menace?
Dude, that was
opening day or opening week?
I don't even remember, man. That was like
way back in the day.
So
way back.
maybe.
Yeah, I'll never forget the sight of Darth Maul being chopped in half on a big screen. I never thought I'd see a human being chopped in half in a Star Wars movie. I was like, holy shit. But anyway, my quote tweet or whatever was not saying Phantom Menace is the greatest movie ever. It was, and I stand by this. Spoonie, by the way, would back me up on this. He got into a bit of a nerd war years ago over this. People have claimed that Phantom Menace got shit on when it came out. Bullshit. No, it didn't. It was not only hype going in, it got relatively good reviews. And for the most part, Star Wars fans liked it. I think a lot of people didn't think it was necessarily as good as the old trilogy. But the real negativity around Phantom Menace, I want to get Tactical Hobo's read on this. I didn't feel like it started until we were almost to Attack of the Clones. It was like the internet got fulminating on the Phantom Menace. And the more you talked about Jar Jar, the cringier he got. And the more you talked about Jake Lloyd's acting, the worse it got. And so by the time we got to Attack of the Clones, then we were shitting on Phantom Menace. At the time, it was hype. It pretty much satisfied the audience. And it really wasn't that hated. At worst, I will say people were more or less satisfied by it. I don't know. Hobo, what's your read on that from back in the day?
You know, I think some people were maybe a bit disappointed, but it still was a big hit. And I do think the internet helped, like, a little later, you know, with Mr. Plinkett and all that. Like,
yeah,
it kind of,
for sure.
The internet accelerated it. Like, the internet made it seem that it was more hated than it actually was. I would say.
Absolutely. The only one of those that I really think has serious problems is Attack of the Clones. That movie just had pacing problems, and it was dull in the middle, and I didn't think it was that great of a flick. But Revenge of the Sith and most of the Phantom Menace, I think are freaking great. They're freaking great. Taryn, you got a read on that?
I mean, I loved them.
What's your memory from back then of how it was actually appraised? Like, if you have a different memory of it, don't be afraid to countermand my read. But my remembrance of that situation was the negativity didn't start until kind of ex post facto.
Phantom Menace was the first and only Star Wars movie I actually got to wait in line for. I waited in line for tickets and I loved it. The theater experience was amazing, especially with the pod racing. And
dude, I do remember that. Regardless of how people came away from episode 1, I remember the pod racing scene getting tons of praise at the time. Like, it was considered one of the best racing action chase scene type sequences in a movie ever. It's still pretty good. I still like the pod racing scene to this day.
And that's got to be one of the Star Wars movies that's put out like the most games, the most media afterward. Like, people
Power Battle,
that movie.
Power Battles was good. Actually, the episode 1 game is not half bad. And episode 1 Pod Racer is considered a classic to this freaking day. Even illegals are a net negative, let alone illegals. Thank you, sir. An internet search for truck driver prompts autofills, including family, 3 victims, 4 victims, bicyclist, 3 in Florida, 4 in Colorado, and video. This needs to stop yesterday. F YouTube censorship. Thank you, sir. Indians are known for cutting a hole in the floor of their trucks with 3 guys driving. They only stop to refuel. Watch for mini logs on the road, folks. Interesting. Life has no value when your biggest natural predator is trains. I think some conservathought's natural predator is trains as well. I think. Anyway, check out Peace and Quiet. It's a fatigue checker. Godspeed. As a truck driver, Indians are the worst on the road. During last week's winter storm, that's all I saw on the side of the road crashed. Hey, Taryn, we need to talk before we move on about the story out of Arizona about what's going on
Yes,
with
we do.
Little Qatar City. So we talked a little bit about Chinese and Saudi interests buying up farmland and developer land in the state of Arizona. This state is just rotten corrupt right now with Democrats running it. This is the difference, man. Republicans ran this state for how long? They ran like they were afraid of the levers of power. But Democrats win an election by 0.2% for the governorship, and they run it like a tin pot dictator, like they have the mandate of the gods. Arizona's Trojan horse, Qatar City. Please read this, brother.
What looks like investment today becomes enforcement tomorrow. A glossy brochure labeled Qatar City, Arizona, USA, has begun circulating online. It shows a 6,000-acre state land auction and a massive proposed development project strategically placed near Arizona's TSMC high-tech zone. The name? Qatar City. The plan unclear. The funding opaque. The timing disturbing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The proposal was submitted.
Very professional here on the RazörForce Offensive, folks.
The proposal was submitted under the name Khalid A. Shire.
This story was worth it just to hear Taryn pronounce Middle Eastern names.
Listing a contact email, blah blah blah, and
and whatever. Yeah.
And
a Nevada phone number. That
phone
got
number.
me. A Nevada phone number.
At first glance, it looks like standard development pitch, but peel back even one layer, and the warning signs multiply. There is no public record of where this man is actually from. Court documents list him as a resident of Illinois, but there's no traceable birthplace, no confirmed nationality, and no digital history to back the public-facing identity. What we do know is this. He has past ties with both Saudi business circles and Qatar state-controlled Islamic banking sector. Shire appears in older U.S. Saudi business directories as president and CEO of Lassa International LLC, a company that is now permanently closed with no website, no active business registration, and no operational record in any state database.
Interesting.
Its domain is dead. Its entire digital footprint ghosted. Yet somehow this is the corporate name attached to a 6,000-acre state land proposal to build a foreign-branded megacity in Arizona.
Interesting.
The proposal was prepared by Lee & Associates, a legitimate commercial real estate brokerage.
Yeah, I see their advertisements all the time on billboards out here.
But their official listing showed no public record of this project, no known broker affiliation with Shire. It's unclear whether their name was officially attached or simply used as a template. So, what do we actually have? A multi-billion-dollar land proposal with zero corporate transparency, a foreign-named project tied to a now-defunct LLC with no real-world business trail, and a broker name that appears more as a prop than a partner.
Yep.
If
so
this
who's
were
now this is what I'm interested in, which raises the real question: who's really behind it? Because we got is a shell, a name, and an invisible network. This isn't the first time that Khalid al-Shayir has worked in partnership with foreign Islamic financiers to embed infrastructure on U.S. soil. In 2004, Shayir was hired by Qatar Islamic Bank, a massive Sharia-compliant financial institution directly linked to Qatar's Islamist ruling elite, to help launch a U.S.-based Islamic bank called U.S. Finance House. The goal? Build a financial institution in America fully aligned with Islamic law, zakat compliant, interest-free, halal-only investments, and operationally structured to match Sharia's financial code. According to court records, Shire was promised the role of CEO, received a formal offer letter from Q1B's chairman, worked nearly 2 years to secure licensing, facilities, staff, and compliance documents for a U.S.-based Sharia bank. Then, in 2006, they abruptly withdrew, refused to provide further capital, and left Shire unpaid with an additional $30,000. He sued in federal court, and the filings reveal a quiet pattern of foreign strategic planning, soft infiltration, and financial ghosting once the groundwork was laid. And now 2 decades later, that same man resurfaces. No explanation, no partners, no corporate infrastructure, just a familiar pattern. A Saudi-tied name, a Qatar-linked past, a shuttered shell company, and 6,000 acres of Arizona. That's where we're at, folks. I don't know much about Qatar City, but I know where Tucker and Candace are having their honeymoon. I know that much. It was created by a local real estate brokerage firm without their knowledge or approval. What now?
How does this happen?
I know. This is absolutely insane. It's by Pulte Homes, which is a big developer out here. This is absolute insanity. Qatar, you can't own an entire city in Arizona. That's the Mexican cartel's job. What the fuck?
And they usually just buy them, not own them.
I know. They just buy them outright. Shit. This is lunacy, bro. There's so much profiteering in this. But this is going into these midterms that we are actually having a gubernatorial election, if you can call our elections. This is the kind of stuff that is pertinent to that election, because of course Katie Hobbs was already involved in a real estate scam. There was a housing project for people CPS kids who had been taken away from their parents, and there were no bid contracts awarded to one developer who just happened to be like the biggest single donor to now Governor Katie Hobbs, who barely eked out a win against Kerry Lake back in 2022. All right, let's see here. Are Tradcath America First podcasters the new converted OnlyFans models? Yeah, except not converted very well. Heck, Nala Ray has recanted and become a Christian. I would trust her farther than most conservative thoughts at this point. JD Vance looking good for president? Yeah, so far. What about you guys? What's your read on JD Vance so far, guys? I don't mind JD Vance.
Yeah, I like him. I don't know. I mean, he's obviously no Trump.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens in the next couple of years, because like the economy is always the most important.
Yeah, and I do worry, Trump is singularly charismatic. He's very, very visible, huge Q rating. JD Vance isn't going to have any of those advantages as much as I might like him. So it's good that he's putting himself out there so much. I'm noticing he does a lot of interviews. He makes a lot of major media interviews. That shows he's clever. He's circumspect. He recognizes, okay, I don't have anywhere near the cachet of Trump, so I got to get on this now while I've still got the tailwind of Trump. Very, very clever. It shows that he knows how to play the game.
Did you see that interview he did? What do you have to say to Alexander Pretty's family? Do you think there should be an apology? And he's like, for what?
Yep. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We should have played that, honestly. Pope John was roommates with Jeff in the emails. What? John Paul? I would love to see you do some stuff with the Crucible. You guys are my 2 favorite characters right now. Okay, Godspeed. I'm more disgusted by lefties trying to either weaponize or ignore the files if they can blame Trump. The elites are wolves. Lefties are Judas Lambs. Any plans to go to Fan Fusion in June? I'll be there with my new hand-painted Spider-Man costume still being painted. Is that what they're calling Phoenix Comic-Con now? Do you know, Taryn? I know you've gone a few times, haven't you?
I've gone like twice, but that was like literally a decade ago.
Yeah, it's called Fan Fusion now, I think. Anyway.
Oh my God.
There was coded talk about Gamergate in the emails. I heard about that. Be ready to see me be vindicated by the emails. Okay.
Mercenary X does not appear in the Epstein files.
Right. Mercenary X is not in the emails, folks. Hashtag vindicated. Surprise Yagu or Johnny Kitagawa aren't in them. Oh. Vic Mignona's not in them, despite the suggestions of many a salty Animu lefty over the years. No representation without taxation. Godspeed. Interior BC is more conservative. Vancouver and Vancouver Island can go the way of Atlantis. Yes, please. Dude, Vancouver is a total dog shit fire right now. Now this is pod racing. Godspeed, bro. Razor, there was a billionaire who said years ago, if you knew who started Bitcoin, it would crash immediately. And now the current rumor is Epstein was behind Bitcoin because of an email with Bill Gates. That is interesting. That is interesting. I know the identity of what's the guy's name who started Bitcoin. There's like a handle for him. Has always been a
nuclear snake.
It's been a subject of debate for years. I went down that rabbit hole years ago when you guys kept insisting, hey, look into Bitcoin, look into Bitcoin. I was like, okay, fine. I'll go down the rabbit hole. I must have watched 17 straight hours of video essays just on the creation of Bitcoin. And I remember the identity of the guy who invented it was the big question mark that everybody wanted answered. So saw episode 1 and 3 in theaters. Love it. Don't get the hate. All right. Megavania fan watching JCW, and it's awesome. Thank you. It has been awesome. I can't wait to watch it after this. It's just pure entertainment. I think Russo is just having the time of his life. I think the big drawback, there's two big drawbacks. Number one, the Juggalo thing. If you're not into the Juggalos, that may put you off, right? I don't think the Russo part is the problem. It's really more so the Juggalo part. And the other thing is they have an inconsistent roster in the sense that they'll get guys for a little while and then they go away and then they come back and then they go away. And it's hard to build a storyline with a roster like that. But so far, Russo seems to be having a lot of fun with it. And shout out to Jim Russo, Vince Russo's 95-year-old father, who just had another stint put in his heart. He's back. He's still ticking, folks. Godspeed to Jim Russo, you freaking legend, you. I heard about, NVIDIA apparently are pausing gaming GPUs for a while because of a chip shortage. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, I did. People are starting to wonder if it's going to affect the price of the upcoming Steam machine.
Yeah, I wonder. If the SAVE Act passes into law, what would the House and Senate look like after the midterms? Red wave? I mean, it could only help prevent election fraud, which is only going to hurt Democrats. Not that Republicans don't commit election fraud. They've been caught in 4K doing it. In recent times, might I add. In 2018. Is there a comparable time to ours in history? That's actually a really good question. That's an uncommonly good question. Is there a comparable time to ours in history? Yes. The period of the election of Grover Cleveland in that Gilded Age period. The Republican Party was slowly becoming something else, and the Democrats were kind of slowly becoming something else. And there were a number of contested, corrupt elections right in a row as the two parties jockeyed for positions. Omnipresent oligarchy and robber barons were a big story in the news at the time. I guess the operative difference is at that time we still had the American frontier. But standing in for the American frontier might be other more figurative frontiers like technology and AI and Bitcoin and shit like that. And maybe, I guess, Mars, if you want to throw it up there. But we don't have the frontier aspect of it. People sort of running away from civilization to sort of live off the grid. You could do that in the late 19th century. You can't so much do that anymore. But to me, that would be the first time that would spring to mind. But then I'm permanently lodged in the late 19th century because I love the Old West. What about you guys? Can you think of another period that's comparable to this one?
That's a tough one, to be honest. I mean, what you said is pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
What about the Nixon era? Be ready. See the EBs being used by T-Man as well. The what? I don't know what he's talking about. Epstein apparently considered Bitcoin investor Michael Saylor too autistic and too emotionally. Too autistic to emotionally blackmail. Emails also mention human cloning and transing kids. I heard about that. All right, sweet. Who's ready for the woke shit bowl this weekend? I know I'm not watching. I'm not hearing a whole lot of hype around it. Would it surprise you if Oswald Spencer and other umbrella elites are in the Epstein files? Never. Thank you for that. We already got that actually earlier. You didn't have to repeat that. I'm watching episode 1 with my college buddies back in 99. I left feeling confused and unfulfilled and a bit like I was being pandered to. Sorry if this is contrarian, but honestly, between friends, right? No, like I said, you guys are welcome to differ on the subject. My point was the overall opinion around the movie, I remember being way more positive. Like it was not shit on at release uniformly, the way that it was between the years of, say, 2004 and maybe 2018, right? At that time, you just could not defend the Phantom Menace. I should know, I did an early Dear Rageaholic Q&A episode where I tore into Red Letter Media. I called them Sped Letter Media and said they had fucked up the franchise. And hey, look what's happening to the franchise right now because they're basically trying to do everything possible to placate you fuckers. And I was right, by the way. That wound up being a pretty ahead of its time video, incidentally. But reasonable minds may differ. Emergency broadcast system. Trump will use it. All right, guys. That's the last, I think, unless we have some Rumble rants.
Yes, we do. We just got a couple. Shadis is what I'll call you. Hello, Razor. Have you played Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha?
Oh, I haven't. I actually own a hard copy. I bought it from GameStop without a box. So it's just the disc. But yeah, it was such a rare game. I had to pick it up when I saw it. I got it while I was working there, actually.
And Dee Hail Chief Flipping Bird, Tactical Hobo, and Beep Boop Gel.
Yeah.
A YouTube channel released a video stating homicide rates in major cities have dropped to 1900s era. A result of deportations?
Ice raids, 100%. 100%. And, you have to remember, Trump deployed the National Guard in some cities, D.C. being one of them. Remember that? So, what? You guys aren't excited for Bad Bunny? Huh? Huh, guys?
What's a Bad Bunny?
Right. All my boomer ass knows about Bad Bunny is he is recurrently sucking Saudi dick for the WWE over in Riyadh. That's all I know about Bad Bunny.
Well, apparently...
Then he comes back to America to virtue signal.
Yeah, the Turning Point, I heard it is having their alternate halftime show or whatever, and I was like, I wonder if it's gonna be like Kid Rock. It was Kid Rock.
It was Kid Rock, of course it was.
Yeah, of course.
God, why can't you ring up someone else's base? Like Alice Cooper's based. Call him up. Again, Megadeth.
Peach Tea, unrelated. The founding fathers didn't like the Pope or Catholics very much. Thoughts?
Who didn't?
The founding fathers.
Well, a lot of them were Protestant. I mean, shoot. That would be something that flowed down from the fact that many early colonists, there was like one Catholic colony, I think, in the beginning. Everybody else was Protestant. Everybody else. And a lot of them Puritan. They were being persecuted by Catholics. So, yeah, that kind of filtered down into the founding fathers, and a lot of them did not care for Catholics. It's one of the reasons I would say, while I don't oppose J.D. Vance being on the ticket or anything, I don't think Vance Rubio is the winning ticket everyone thinks it is. An all-Catholic ticket, there would still be some problems. I'm sorry. Like, I know anti-Catholic bias isn't what it used to be, but it does still exist. It does still exist. In the same way that Romney being a Mormon was a problem in 2012. It objectively was. There is a sizable contingent of the evangelical right that will never vote for a Mormon. Ever, 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 ever. That was a problem, nominating him. So, let's see here. Razor, don't stop defending MJ till you get enough. Ooh! Anyways, there we go. I'll give you a rundown on Bad Bunny. Sucky FVG. Interesting. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait until our next edition. I hope that you enjoyed this one for Mr. Tactical Hobo and Mr. Terrangel. I am Razor Fist. Until the next time we mount an offensive, Godspeed!